Good morning and welcome to day 5 of competition here in Funchal on the island of Madeira. We are here for the IPC Swimming European Open Championships 2016. I'm Paul Noble. I'll be taking you through the action for this day 5 of heats. I'm joined this morning by Liz Johnson. Liz.
Morning, Paul.
Morning, Liz. We were here last night, saw some great action in the pool. 12 hours later we're back again.
Yeah, we were in for some really good races last night, breaststroke and all that, and I'm looking forward to some more races today, this morning.
Officials coming on to the pool side, looking quite cheery this morning. A little bit cloudy outside, but not too bad from what we're used to.
Oh yeah, I'd still take this weather over what we're getting in Britain right now.
There's a schedule of events we have to look forward to this morning. We start off with 150 metres individual medley events, an event that is specific to the Paralympic Games. Move on to some distance events, 400 freestyle, 200 individual medleys. The sprint events are next, the men's and women's 50 metres freestyles. A couple more 50 metres, move back to a distance event for the visually impaired swimmers, and finish off with 4 100 metre events in backstroke and freestyle. Well, range of classes we're looking forward to this morning, Liz, all from the more severe impairments down to the S13 swimmers with visual impairments, so all through the categories this morning.
Yeah, we've got a good mix of some distance events and then some speed events and some of the shorter ones, so it keeps the programme interesting for the spectators, and we should move swiftly through as we've been doing all week, Paul.
I know the time seems to have flown in. We're on day 5 already, and after day 4 of competition, the two countries that are dominating the medal table, as you might expect, Ukraine and Russia. Ukraine, 27 gold medals in the European standings at the moment. Russia, 22. Great Britain in 3rd place in the medal table with 12. And Spain have got the same number of medals as Great Britain, 24, but 8 golds compared to Great Britain's 12. So those countries doing well at the top of the medal table. Italy in 5th place, they've had a good competition as well. And 6 and 7, interestingly, Belarus and Norway, who most of their gold medals have been won by one particular athlete, Ihar Boki and Sarah Louise Rung. But not exclusively Ihar Boki, he had some company last night.
Yeah, and it was good to see some other Belarusians getting to cure the anthem, and as you said, Paul, there's a fight. They're running away with it at the top of the table there, though, Ukraine and Russia. It's becoming a 2-horse race.
It is. Some massive teams. Russia were top of the medal table after day 1, but since then, Ukraine have had some fantastic performances, and they're strong all through the classifications, aren't they?
Yeah, and it's great to see that even on day 5, the spectators are in first thing in the morning with big smiles on their faces, waving their flags, and it's been a really well attended meet, and we've had a great atmosphere in this pool here in Funchal.
It has, and we have got some Portuguese swimmers in the heats this morning. There's a Turkish team, they're loving it there. There's Roglu on the right hand side, they're only medalists so far. Spain have had some good performances, haven't they?
Yeah, Spain has had a brilliant meet, considering they've actually got quite a small team, but there we saw they've got the same number of medals overall as Great Britain, so that's just a reflection of the success they're having at this swim meet.
Well, that is the athlete seating you can see there on the red and orange seats. Some of the athletes down on pool deck. The Danes there have won a couple of medals already. And there's the young man who won a medal yesterday, Mortensen, Amelie Winter. Oh, there's the IPC hierarchy, our bosses.
Yeah, we might not say anything mean about them.
Oh, we better not. They haven't noticed themselves on this live stream now. They will in a second. There's a little bit of a delay to us in the pool, so they'll have a look at themselves on the big screen. As the first swimmers come out for the first event this morning, the 150 metres individual medley for men. This is the SM4 category, and as you said, Liz, this is an event that is specific to Paralympic swimming.
Yeah, and the SM4 classification is the highest classification is eligible to do this 150 metres individually, and we just lose the butterfly length of the 200 individual medley to make this race.
Yeah, it's the classification system S1 to S10, the S1 being the most severe physical impairment. There's Nelson Lopes from Portugal. He'll be hoping to get on the medal podium again. He did it the last European Championships in Eindhoven. He's had a long career, Nelson, and he managed to get that European medal, which was a great success for him 2 years ago at the European Championships. Hasn't made it onto the medal podium yet. In fact, Portugal haven't won a medal at this Championships, but they have a couple of chances. Maybe one big one today. And there is Jonas Larsson. He goes in lane number 5. He's the reigning European champion. 10 swimmers that are in this heat, and there is one and only heat, and the 10 swimmers have to go down to 8. So we have to lose 2 swimmers, Les.
Yes, Paul, and similarly as we've seen with the 200 individual medleys, there's 3 strokes to this race, so we will maybe notice the lead change a lot, but Jonas Larsson has gone out pretty strong from the word go, and he's got a good backstroke, but the breaststroke can so often be a telling sign. Roman Zadorov, he will look to him when he turns to try and make up some ground on the breaststroke. You don't need to lose 2 swimmers though, so you're not going to go all out because it's going to be a fast race for the final, so you really want to conserve as much energy as you can. Here we see Jonas Larsson turning first in a time of 43.1 seconds. Roman Zadorov taking it very steadily in 46 seconds.
Well, the caption on your screen saying a new world record. I'm not sure if that is the case. Still a long way to go in this one. We did see some world records in split times yesterday, but I'm pretty sure that won't be one of them for Jonas Larsson, unfortunately, for the Danish team, but he's doing well. Roman Zadorov, favourite for this one, of course. World Championship gold medalist last year. He's coming back on that breaststroke leg, and we can maybe expect something special from Zadorov in the final. He's got a very fast entry time, which is actually faster than the world record, but the time was not ratified as a record, so we might be looking for something spectacular from Roman Zadorov tonight. He's very strong in the breaststroke. He comes alongside Larsson, overtakes him, and he has a lead over Jonas Larsson going into the freestyle.
Yeah, Paul, as predicted, Roman Zadorov really made up that deficit on the breaststroke, and as we said, it can be such a telling leg of any medley, whether it be the 200, the 150 or even the relay. So he'll look to comfortably go down this last 50 metres because, like you said, he has got a chance of getting the world record tonight, so he'll be saving as much energy as possible for that.
Well, it's very comfortable for Roman Zadorov, the youngest man in the field, 17 years of age. Another young Russian swimmer making an impact here. Good battle for 3rd position, but Zadorov and Larsson easing their way into the wall here. Zadorov will take that one in 2:35.86, well within his capabilities. Larsson is in 2:40.79, and Efrem Morelli, the Italian who won the breaststroke a couple of days ago, he is in 3rd position. Miguel Luque, who's 2nd in that breaststroke behind Morelli, he's in 4th position. Lazikin comes in next for Russia, and the final swimmers just making their way into the wall here. Liz, you said you've just got to lose 2. It looks like the 2 in the 2 outside lanes are going to be the ones to drop out. That is Tommy Brasha and Hamit Demir. But of course, you never know. Maybe disqualifications. We have seen some disqualifications, so always worth trying to make your way to the wall to get a position, because you never know what might happen.
Yeah, towards the beginning of the week we saw quite a few disqualifications. We haven't, fortunately, touch wood, we haven't seen quite so many in the last couple of days. But as you say, Paul, especially in an individual medley event, there's 3 strokes, lots of turns, a lot could go wrong. So it's always best to wait for the official results before you start celebrating your place in the final.
Larson was quick away, wasn't he?
Yeah, he had a brilliant backstroke leg, but I think he knew he had to give himself an advantage, and we'll see him tonight attacking that backstroke leg as well, because he gave his, he tried on that breaststroke to stay with Zadanov as he came through, because Zadanov's breaststroke is so much stronger than Larson's this morning.
And Zadanov's got the big long levers there, very nice freestyle stroke there. Roman Zadanov.
It was a very comfortable for him this morning, didn't even really break a sweat.
Zdanov is confirmed as the winner ahead of Larson and ahead of Morelli. Top 8 progressed to the final, including the Portuguese local favourite, Nelson Lopes.
Always good to have a Portuguese swimmer in one of the opening finals of the evening, Paul, really get the atmosphere going.
He'll be happy to be in that final. Nelson Lopes, remember him from way back. I think he's one of these guys that's been around since the 90s. So a long time ago, long serving member of the Portuguese team, trying to make it to another Paralympic Games.
I think we've seen a lot of really experienced athletes at this meet. There's been a great mix of newcomers, new talent, youth athletes coming through the ranks and putting in some great performances, but the teams have all got quite a mature presence at the same time, and that balance is important, I think, to develop the next generation of swimmers.
Just like our commentary team.
Yeah!
Long-standing members and young up-and-coming.
Yeah! That's the first time you've called me young. You keep trying to tell me that I have to adopt the average age.
It's all relative.
I'll take it.
Let's see how we go in this one. The women's 150 individual medley SM4. Ariola Trimmi has been impressive this week, the Italian in the centre lane. There's Olga Zviderska. Well, it's a combined event, SM3 and SM4 and SM2 as well. Olga Zviderska is the world record holder in the SM3 class, and Ariola Trimmi will be the favourite for this one. She's an SM4 swimmer. One set of medals, of course, that are presented, so the swimmers in the lower class have to swim up against the higher class swimmers. There's Lafina from Ukraine. She'll be a favourite for one of the medal positions. She's done well this week, and she's the reigning champion in this event, reigning European champion. And there's Janet Adami, the Hungarian swimmer, and she's the world record holder in the SM2 class, so we'll keep an eye on her time. Well, Janet Adami, because it's a combined event, she might not make it to the final. She's not seeded to make it to the final, and she is the world record holder, so you know, we might find her trying to go for a time this morning.
Yeah, definitely. Some of these athletes are in a difficult position where they do have to swim up not only one classification, but in this case 2 classifications. So she's in an outside lane, but if she can get anywhere near her world record, or even potentially break that world record, then that'll be a really successful outing for her this morning.
Well, she has very recently broken that record. The record set by Janet Adami was only on the 3rd of April this year in Hungary, so you know she's on good form. So keep an eye on Janet Adami in the outside lane. We'll come back to her, because in the centre lanes it looks like it's a very good start from Marina Verbova in lane number 3. She was a shock winner, I suppose, of the 50 backstroke the other day.
Yeah, there we're seeing here her strength in the 50 backstroke, and as we've said with this medley, you've really got to maximise your strength and try and minimise your losses on the weaknesses. So if she can put in a good backstroke leg and make the most of that advantage that she's got, and she puts herself in a good position to try and stay ahead as those stronger breaststrokers come through down this second 50.
Marina Lafina looks very comfortable there in the centre, doesn't she? Very elegant backstroke there. She comes through pushes herself over, and it looks like Swiderska in third, Ariola Trimmy in fourth position. Ariola Trimmy, just as she comes out of the wall there, chasing Verbova. She's another one of these Italian swimmers who have adopted that sideways breathing technique in breaststroke.
Yeah, she doesn't have the upper body strength to lift her head and her body out of the water enough to clear to make sure she gets water in. And as we can see here, she's staying really flat on the water. She gets a good amount of oxygen into her lungs, and there's no pause in her stroke. She continues to do that pull as she's breathing, and we saw that as she's got 3 really strong strokes. Breaststroke, potentially her weakest, but she's coming back on the field now. We've got a really exciting race here. So often breaststroke is the telling stroke in a medley race, Paul.
Well, Ariola Trimmy down in maybe about 5th position here. It's very, very close indeed. Also going well over there in lane number 7. Just out of your shot there is Carolina Hamer from Poland. She's coming back into it as well. But it does look like Swiderska is on her way home on the freestyle. Gavrilyuk had a good breaststroke. Lafina, good breaststroke. Watch out for now. Ariola Trimmy just turning now. The Italian. She's a very, very strong freestyler.
Yeah, Trimmy's got a textbook freestyle, and if everybody could swim with those high elbows, they'd be really happy. And here we'll see her starting to come through the field, but none of these swimmers in the front here will be putting maximum effort into this. This will be more like a training warm-up swim for these guys. They'll be controlling this. We've only got to lose 2 swimmers to progress through to the final, and they're comfortable, their times are ahead, so we can expect them to touch the wall and not be too out of breath, Paul.
Well, Ariola Trimmy always looks comfortable. It's very, very difficult to tell how much effort she's putting in, but I can tell you this, that Olga Swiderska is going really, really well here. She has got a world record time of 3:08, and Olga Swiderska, oh, she's inside it, 3:07.82. Olga Swiderska touching second there for Ukraine, and she is inside our world record mark, 3:07.82, and we have a world record standard set in the second race of the morning. Olga Swiderska, fantastic stuff, the Ukrainian.
Yeah, she swam really well there in lane 3, and again, we said sometimes these athletes benefit from swimming against the athletes in higher classifications, and she really got dragged on there to a good time. But she actually doesn't look too out of breath, Paul, so maybe it was a comfortable swim, and she's actually, I'm not even sure if she's realised yet that she's broken the world record.
Well, that's Lafina. She had a good swim as well. She'll be in contention for the medals. Let's not forget about Janet Adami as well. She is just going over there in lane number 9, so we'll come back to her. And a very good swim there from Swiderska. And there's Janet Adami. Well, let's check how Janet Adami has gone over there. The Hungarian swimmer looking for that record time of just under the 5-minute mark. She's probably just outside the time that she's looking for. Janet Adami, the final swimmer to finish, I think. In fact, no, Sigurdur Dottir as well from Iceland, still going in lane number 0. Janet Adami, the SM2 swimmer, is going to get in ahead here of the swimmer from Iceland. There's the Icelandic swimmer here. She's the SM4 swimmer. But the SM2 swimmer with the most severe impairment in this field, she gets in just over the 5-minute mark, Les. So it's a long swim, isn't it? 5 minutes. It's very much a test of endurance.
And we saw her there propelling herself down that final length with just that one leg, really. And so 5 minutes of swimming with just one limb to propel you, you're really going to be feeling the pain towards the end of that race.
That's Lafina on the breaststroke leg. It's a very elegant swimmer, but when you get into the freestyle, Ariola Trimmy is just a delight to watch.
Yeah, she's got such a smooth stroke and it's so efficient, and she managed to keep such a flat body position, because so often these athletes, without the use of their legs, they create so much drag because they're not able to hold their bodies up. But there we see her coming into the finish, and that was a very comfortable swim for her this morning, Paul.
She looks over to Swiderska, and Here in the pool that the record time has been confirmed. We do have a disqualification. It was Janet Adami from Hungary. But the winner of that heat was Ariola Trimmi from Italy, but Olga Swiderska, a world record for the SM3 classification, in second position in that heat.
Well, we're continuing this morning where we left off last night. There was 9 world records last night, Paul.
Great stuff. Ariola Trimmi will go into the final in first position. That'll be the fight for the medals. Trimmi, Swiderska, Lafina and Gavrilyuk in fourth position. Can she step up to challenge the top 3? Well, there's Ariola Trimmi. See the Italians, a little bit of tape marks on their shoulder. We saw that with Giulia Gueretti yesterday. Just kind of see it on the shoulders as Ariola Trimmi just moves the towel there.
Yeah, Paul, in swimming we're not allowed to, the competitors aren't allowed to swim with tape on their bodies unless it's been pre-approved by the referees, and it's not often that a swimmer is in a position where they do need the tape to swim. So sometimes just to cover their feet, we used to see Kirsten Brun cover her toes so that she didn't cut them on the block, but it was never physio tape, it was always just duct tape.
Men's 400 freestyle S7, the first of the 2 heats. Come on to the start, and here's Nuno Alves from Portugal. He goes in lane number 1. Valerio Taras from Italy goes in lane number 3. He may contend for the lead in this one. Andreas Skar Bjornstad, silver medalist last year at the World Championships, goes in lane number 4. And it's Arregui from Argentina, 4th in the World Championships last year. World record held by Joseph Craig from Great Britain. Now swimming is an S8, of course.
There, Paul, as with other races that we've seen this week, a variety of starting techniques, and we actually saw 2 swimmers start in the water, and the Portuguese, like one of the crowd's home favourites, he actually started from the side of the pool rather than on the block. And again, it comes down to swimmer preference.
And all these kind of starting techniques, the different positions, they've all got to be approved in advance by the officials.
Yes, if you have an assistant to help you on the block, or you use a towel to stop any abrasions on the bottom of your stumps or your toes, everything you do, or any bands that you use to try and hold on to the diving block to assist you, everything that's, again, standard starting protocol does need to be approved by the referees and is specific to your impairment and your impairment type.
And it's kind of like the blind swimmers as well. We've seen them getting tappers, and it's only certain blind swimmers that are allowed to get the tappers.
Yeah, that's true. Obviously, all the S11 swimmers are allowed to have tappers, and in the S12s, there are some athletes in that classification that are eligible to be tapped. But again, their equipment has to go through a strict testing procedure, and they're only allowed certain types of balls on the end of that tapping stick and certain types of poles, and there's a limit to how long those poles can be.
We saw some real variation in the length of those on the pool, and some of them are quite rigid, some of them are quite springy, aren't they?
Yeah, I would hate to be one of the people in control of those 5 metre ones that seem to have a lot of elasticity in them almost. Well,
no such problem for these 2 going ahead of the field here. Arregui from Argentina and Bjornstad from Norway. You're our South American correspondent, Liz. Got knowledge of the Brazilian and some of the Argentinian team. You know this young man in lane number 5?
Not specifically, but I do know, as we said, we've touched upon it earlier in the week, but the Argentinian men are in a position where they're really fighting for their spots on that Rio 2016 team, because they've had such a successful year that they've actually got more athletes that have qualified for places than they've got spots available on the teams. So they'll be all, and we've seen in heats and finals the Argentinian men put in some really good performances, because they need to take every opportunity they can to try and stake a claim on one of those spots.
Yeah, well, this young man, Sundo Jose Arregu, coming up alongside Andres Skar Bjornstad. He was 4th in the World Championships last year, the Argentinian. Norwegian, the silver medalist, behind Andrei Gladkov of Russia, who goes in the 2nd heat. The Argentinian swimmer coming back strongly here.
Yeah, and I obviously haven't swum that many 400 metre freestyles in my time, but I would imagine it's quite nice, quite nice to have company on these. And actually, it works two ways. You can either get stuck with a swimmer and think, oh, I hope they're taking me to a good time. You get to the end and it's a slow time. But with these boys, we can see they're really pushing on. So actually, we could hope that they would take each other, this company, they take each other to a good time here.
Yeah, I used to swim a 400. That was one of my main events. I didn't really have the power for the sprint events, as you might guess.
I think in 20 years I did one 400 metres long course and one 400 metre short course, and that was it.
It does always help to have someone alongside you, though. It's a very lonely place if you're trying to get a time there in a distance event on your own, and that's certainly helping Arregu from Argentina. And Bjornstad, he looks comfortable though, Bjornstad.
Yeah, Bjornstad's using a slightly slower stroke rate. So, and he's got a longer stroke at the front, and that suggests to us that he probably is taking it a little bit easier. But as we've said, the Argentinian men are chasing time, so we would expect them to attack these races even in the mornings.
Well, Arregu's entry time is 5:05.93. Bjornstad's entry time is 4:58.60. That's the time that he went in the World Championships last year. They're coming down now to the last 15 metres. Arregu is going to just about take this one, I think, unless Bjornstad has got a little bit of a spurt on in the final few metres. Not sure, but it's going to be Arregu will take that one in 5:03.31. The Argentinian's happy with that one. Very pleased with that one indeed. And for Sundo Jose Arregu, he's in first position there in an excellent time, 5:03.31. Bjornstad at 5:04.10. And in third position is Valerio Taras from Italy, ahead of Kozlenko from Ukraine. But he seems very happy, doesn't he, the young man from Argentina?
Yeah, and he's improved on his entry time there by over 2 seconds, so you can't ask much more than that when you're going for times and spots on the team. Obviously, different countries have different selection criteria, different selection meets. A lot of like Britain, they had 1 trials, whereas a lot of these nations here, they've got a window of opportunity, and hopefully that'll put him in a good position to claim one of those spots.
Well, he's only 18 years of age. He was awarded the Jorge Newbery Award in Argentina in 2013 for the best newcomer. He's certainly living up to that tag anyway. He's swum a very good time. He's put himself in a great position to be in the Open medals. We should really explain it is the Open European Championships. That's why we are seeing swimmers from Argentina here, and they will be eligible to compete for Open medals. But there is, within the Open race, a European Championship as well for the top Europeans.
I think a lot of the nations are benefiting from this European Open structure and getting to race some of the best in the world ahead of Rio 2016.
And Nuno Alves with his entry time. His entry time was significantly behind the others, 7 minutes 13, and he finishes in 7:17. So another long swim there from one of these athletes, 7 minutes. Very much a distance event there for Nuno Alves, but really good contest at the front there between Bjornstad and Argue.
They kept each other company the whole way, really, and then we saw a bit of a sprint finish, and Bjornstad did up his pace, because sometimes it comes down to pride to get that touch, but he just maybe left it a little too late to get that number 1 next to his name.
Well, they will come against each other again tonight in the final, because that result is confirmed from Heat 1, and we move on to the second heat, Heat number 2. And again, we have some big names in this one as well. There's a young man, Carlos Serrano Zarate, who won the breaststroke last night. He looked a bit unsure of himself there. But Andrei Gladkov, the world champion, and Marian Nitsaya next to him, the world bronze medalist. Andrei Gladkov, really the last couple of years he's dominated this event. He's been pretty far and away ahead of the rest in terms of world or big championship swimming.
Yes, Paul, he'll definitely be the favourite for this event, but I actually think the opportunity to get on the podium here is wide open for those other athletes, as it could be a good contest for those second and third positions. So there's quite a lot at stake here, and there's a lot of close times. We've got to lose quite a few swimmers, so we could expect some good times, good best times from those outside lanes. But Andrei Gladkov, he had a good 100 backstroke the other day, just getting beaten by Jonathan Fox, and as you said, he's dominated this event over the last few years. Again, maybe because Jonathan Fox's absence and his shoulders aren't quite ready for a 400 freestyle after he had some surgery on them. So Andrei Gladkov, definitely the favourite, but he might not have it all his own way come Rio, because I know Mikey Jones is a potential Brit that could be on the team. When it's announced on May the 16th, it'd be great to see him feature. But Andrei Gladkov, so far, dominated over the last few years, and he'll be looking to maintain that here today.
He's never quite gone as fast as the 4:39.19 that he went in the World Championships 2013, so maybe he's due to lower that time a little bit. His times from the last couple of years, 4:45 in 2014 and 4:46 in 2015, that were his best times, and as it stands at the moment, the world rankings, it is Mikey Jones who leads the world rankings with a time of 4:46. So we'll see what Andrei Gladkov can do here. See what kind of time that he will post. Maybe not in the morning, but in the evening we'll be looking for him to be close to the 4:40 mark.
Yeah, he's an experienced campaigner, and he won't feel the need to go out too quickly this morning. He'll look for a comfortable qualification so he can really have a crack at getting back down somewhere near to his best time this evening. As we said, these longer distances quite often go better when you've got company, and that 4:39.19 that he did, he had definitely had company in the form of Joseph Craig breaking that world record in the same race, 4 minutes 39.14, so 5/100ths of a second in it. So sometimes we see those athletes race the clock and do very well, and others thrive in an environment where they have got someone right next to them, and that was the case for Gladkov in Montreal in 2013.
He strikes me certainly as a racer, and that's maybe what he needs, someone to push him onto the good times.
Yeah, he's done very well to progress in his other events, notably the 100 metres backstroke over the last few years in the absence of Jonathan Fox. But you just don't know now that John's back in the game and he put in a great performance on day one. It might just be that Andrei Gladkov, now we see him move on again if he can rise to that challenge.
Well, very possibly. Just a little bit of a delay here in the pool before we get underway for the next event. The swimmers are ready, but we are not ready to progress again. Hopefully not too long before we get underway again. Session this morning due to finish around about 11:30. So a couple of hours, 2.5 hours or so. There in the finals tonight. A shorter session in the finals than it was last night. Although last night, with all those records, seemed to go in pretty quickly.
Yeah, last night flew by because we were treated to such a display of, well, like I said, we had 9 world records. We had 6 world records in 2 races, Paul.
I know. Yeah, we were spoilt last night. And that's some of the races earlier this morning. We're not underway just yet. Showing replays from these earlier ones. We still haven't got any mascots, Leslie.
No, but I feel like we made progress this morning.
Did you? Speaking of Sue Prasad, who was presenting the mascot, I think she could just like inveigle us one.
Well,
I need 2, remember.
I was trying.
You were.
The old, I haven't seen Seal this morning. What is his name? Do we know what his name is?
Funchal.
Oh, okay. Funchal.
Yeah. It's here in Madeira. We're learning a lot about the local customs and delicacies and treats and everything. We found out Funchal was famous for bananas last night. That's why we got big bowls of bananas around everywhere.
And I'd be quite at home in a place where bananas are a favourite, because I love bananas. But I'm still waiting to get some Madeira cake, Paul.
I had some the other day. It was lovely.
Why doesn't that surprise me? You always rock up here in your station with a token banana and some pastries.
That's my fruit. It's my 5 a day. Well, 1 a day. I have got chocolate as well this morning.
You're not doing anything to promote this healthy eating lifestyle, are you?
Well, you're retired now. You have to watch out.
Thanks.
I've been retired for a long time.
Your body's got used to the lack of exercise.
We need to keep going. These are long sessions. It's all right for these swimmers doing 1 race and then having a rest. We've got 2.5 hours of racing to do.
You're not wrong. We have been treated to some great performances, and here we see that world record from this morning, Paul, in the 150 metres individual medley. So started the day from where we left off last night.
Yeah, there's Swiderska just at the top of your screen there. That's a slow motion replay of this one. Look, Ariola Trimi is fantastic, isn't she? The swimmer in the middle there, the Italian swimmer.
Yeah, she's got such great shoulder rotation, and that allows her to get those high elbows and just so much purchase on the water. And we saw it when she was swimming the breaststroke and even the backstroke, and definitely with her freestyle. There's no pause in her stroke at all, and that's really impressive. There's not even any bobbing up and down or dipping that you might expect from someone who's only got the use of her upper trunk and arms.
Look at the head, rock steady until she breathes. She'll do that, and the head just doesn't move at all.
No, she is a beautiful technician, and I think a lot of people would try and emulate her freestyle stroke.
Obviously getting a lot of power under the water as well. That freestyle stroke. Look at the red chest there. Oh, Bjornstad there is pumping himself up for the race.
That seems to be a thing now. A lot of the swimmers, they slap their muscles to get that blood circulating, to get themselves ready so that they feel pumped when they dive in the water. But I'm just not sure I could bring myself to hit myself that hard.
Do you have any rituals before you went into a swim?
Yeah, so I always used to, as I was getting on the block, I'd like do a left breaststroke air kick with my left leg and then one with my right. And then when I bent down, I used to roll my top lip to touch my nose, which my mum used to tell me off for because she said it looked ridiculous. But I always used to see my reflection. Well, I think she was afraid I was going to develop a bad habit, but I always just see my reflection in the water as I bent down then to go.
Oh, right, that's interesting. I always used to like to have my shoelaces undone.
That's not safe.
Oh, before I went in, I always went, when they used to go down for the camera used to come along and at the lanes as we're having here as well. And very often I'd still be sitting on my seat trying to get my shoelaces undone and get my shoes off. It was always one of these things that, one of these superstitions that I like to do before the race. I wanted to try and I had to get these shoelaces undone because I thought that was my ritual I had to do.
Before the camera came to you.
Well, just before the race, really. I wasn't interested in the camera. As long as I was ready for the race, I was fine.
I'm pretty sure that if you tried to dive in with your trainers still on, someone might have had something to say.
I get my shoes off okay. I was one size 7 and one size 4 my feet, so I was all right with my left
That's the
foot.
same as. Oh no, I'm a 7 and a 5. Felipe's an 8 and a 4.
Oh, right, okay. We could share shoes at one point.
We can, because we're alternate feet.
Oh,
So.
can you? Right, excellent.
Except he doesn't really like my girly shoes.
Oh, well. Can understand that. Oh, still waiting. Still delayed, unfortunately, for this one. Hopefully get underway as soon as we can. Crowds coming in here. We had a school in yesterday. We saw them leaving at lunchtime. They made a lot of noise, especially for the Portuguese swimmer. This one here, and that is probably Manuel Gonçalves, who is going very shortly. A local man from here in Madeira. There's Andrei Gladkov, and it's never good to have this length of delay before a race, is it, Liz?
No, Paul, but we saw there the athletes all put their tracksuits back on to keep them as warm as possible, because unfortunately once you're at this point behind the block, there's not really a lot else you can do, especially if you're mobility impaired. You can't really start jumping around behind the block, but thankfully now they've all derobed and we are ready to go.
Good stuff here. That was a delay of, well, some 10 minutes or so, I think, at least, for these swimmers. So they are kind of, most of them are experienced swimmers. They are used to swimming in international competitions, and you know, these kind of delays can happen from time to time.
Yeah, especially we tend to see it more in heat sessions actually, and like I guess you come in and you're slightly more relaxed during the heats, and you just, as we alluded to when we've been so on time all week, and we've said that's the beauty of being, you can never go early, but we've always warned that you can potentially have a race that's delayed. But we saw there people swinging their arms and putting on their tracksuits, and it doesn't seem to have affected Andrei Gladkov that much, because he's gone out in 32.4 seconds, Paul, and he's got a sizable lead already.
Good start from Andrei Gladkov. And Carlos Serrano Zarate lying in second place at the minute. Close contest though for second. Dominguez, Alfonso Dominguez in lane number 2, also going well for Spain. Kamnitsaya for Ukraine going well in lane number 5, but it does look like it is going to be Gladkov with that substantial lead there. And he goes over in 108.98. Comfortable for Gladkov. Probably well within his capabilities here and looking good.
Yeah, he's another athlete with a great technique. You see the really high elbow there, and he can almost claws that left hand to catch that water and come through. And he's got quite a high stroke rate, but again, he needs that because he doesn't have the propulsion from his legs, so he can't afford to go too long and too slow, because his body will start to sink, and it'll really change the whole way he swims. And you just go, it's not easy then, it actually becomes harder to swim at that slower pace.
And he's certainly keeping that pace going. 108 for the first 100 there, and he is going out in around about 37 seconds here, so we'll see if he continues to go at that sort of speed. In second position it is Carlos Serrano Zarate, and the Colombians of course got a very, very strong team here. Very small team though, just 3 swimmers, I think, 3 or 4 swimmers for the Colombians. They're in our hotel, they're always a very happy group, and they had a great swim yesterday by Moises Fuentes Garcia, and he was winning that 100 Bristol Open race against the great Daniel Diaz.
Yeah, Paul, it was a fantastic performance, as we've seen with so many of these countries. Victory and good swims become infectious. And when you're in a small team like that, you're a really tight unit, and you don't want to be the one that's not swimming well. And we've seen them really raise their game here. We know they're coming in good form. They swam at the Open Championship in Rio at the test event for the Paralympics 2 weeks ago, and they were all in good form there. And we're seeing them continue that in here and really benefiting from racing these European athletes.
And the breaststroke certainly a great speciality for the Colombians. They've got 3 great world-class breaststrokers who might all win when they get to Rio.
Yeah, absolutely. They've put themselves in a really strong position, and I think they're coming into form at the right time. They're all really young, so they're really fresh, and they're new talent. And Colombia will be one of these teams that don't actually get allocated that many slots for places on their Paralympic team. But as we've seen, they've got such quality in those swimmers that they do have that they don't need a massive number to still do well and feature high on the medal table.
Well, the Colombian in this one has dropped down to 3rd position. Kamenetsaya just coming over ahead of Carlos Serrano Zarate. Andrei Gladkov just extending his lead all the time, still doing those splits of around about 107, 108 for each of the 100, which makes him on course for somewhere around about the 450 mark. He's going to come in well ahead of the others. And previous heat was just over the 5-minute mark, so Andrei Gladkov is going to be well placed going through to that final. Certainly a big favourite for the title tonight. Be difficult to see him being beaten.
Yeah, Paul, and he looks comfortable here, and that delay hasn't phased him at all. He will have come in with his race plan, and he'll be pretty chilled, and he'll be glad to see at the end of the race that he'll look at the time, and barring any disqualifications, he will be going in lane number 4 this evening.
Fastest time he's gone this year so far is 5:03, and he's improved that to 4:57. Andrei Gladkov picked it up just slightly in that last 100, and he will be pleased with his morning's work, especially after that delay, and signing up there to his teammates. And a good battle for second. It was Carlos Serrano Zarate getting in just a second ahead of Marian Kamenetsaya. They will all progress to the final. Antonio Once Bertran in 4th place for Spain, and Alfonso Dominguez from Spain in 5th position. Well, these swimmers in kind of 4th and 5th will be waiting to see the summary of the results from that first heat. Seems so long ago now.
Yeah, Paul, and there we saw a mix of results. Some of the swimmers beating their entry times and some just a little bit off. And as you said, everyone reacts differently to those delays, but sometimes you find that 10 minutes that we had actually calms your nerves, because you come out nervous, but then you've had so long sat behind the block, you've had time to chill out and relax, and there we've seen a lot of improvements on entry times. He's very happy, isn't he, Andrei Gladkov? Tickets to the gun show.
It is for Andrei Gladkov. That's becoming his trademark. 4:57.43. He will progress to the final in 1st position, but he will have company of the other 2 World Championship medalists from last year, Aragi and Bjornstad, who qualify in 2nd and 3rd position. Kamenetsaya, of course, will also progress to that final. He was the medalist. Aragi 4th place last year, of course. Hoping to get an open medal to his name, the Argentinian, tonight. Down to the women's now, Les. 400 freestyle for women S7. And in the centre lane, Susie Rogers from Great Britain and Arianna Talamona from Italy. Both swimmers having good weeks here in Funchal.
Yeah, definitely. And Susie had that brilliant European record in the 50 fly that she's been working so hard on over the last 3 years to get back down to her time. And Arianna Talamona had a brilliant 200 individual medley. So both swimmers that have started to hit their form at the right time. Verena shot their lane 6, won the 100 metres backstroke way back on day 1. Seems quite a while ago, Paul. We've had a lot of races since then. So all these swimmers in good form, and it'll be interesting to see how they go here this morning.
Susie Rogers is the European record holder. Time stands at 5:18.93. Set that in the Paralympic Games in London. She won a bronze medal. Very nearly a silver medal, as I remember, on that day. There's Talamona starting from the water. Real mixture of water starts and block starts again.
Yeah, 3 athletes there starting in the water, Paul, and the athlete in lane 1 starting in a sitting, lane 0, sorry, starting in a sitting position. A Manchi from Turkey, and again, it's really, and a 400, it's not so important to get away from the blocks quickly because it's all about the swimming speed, because we've got 8 lengths of the pool to cover and it's really strong. But this S7 classification is really quite open. Obviously, when we get on the world stage and we get to the Paralympic Games, we're so used to seeing Jacqueline Franey dominate, but she actually didn't enter the Australian trial, so she won't be at the Paralympic Games this summer. And she devastated this classification at London 2012, winning 7 gold medals. It's really now, all these S7 athletes are feeling like they've got an opportunity to really take this chance and make a difference, and maybe get that gold medal.
Well, Susie Rogers going out pretty well here, and it's followed by Denise Graal in lane number 2 from Germany. Those two have gone out. Pretty good speed here. Again, just one heat of this one. You only have to lose 1 swimmer. So you'd reckon for the swimmers we're seeing going over there, first 5 certainly, it's going to be pretty comfortable qualification for them. Susie Rogers just put a marker down, I think, though, Liz.
Yeah, she's gone out. I think with Susie, she likes to see in the opening stages of a longer race the kind of form you're in, get a feel for the race and then settle in, because it's always better to put yourself out there in the front and then ease off rather than take it easy from the word go, as if you're gonna put your foot down and try to go harder in the second half of the race, and then if it's not there you can risk really falling down the racks. And we've seen in some of the other 400s this morning that people really benefit from having company, so it's quite important if you want a good time to try and get one of those centre lanes so that you've got a full view of the pool when you're racing in the evening, and then you can really be pushed on by your other competitors.
Susie Rogers will start as overwhelming favourite in this particular event. She has the fastest entry time, quite a margin, but just don't know, we've seen some big improvements from some of the swimmers this week, and these swimmers all coming into the Paralympics, of course, all performances all ramping up, aren't they?
Absolutely, Paul, and the whole swimming program is really based on a 4-year cycle, and everybody really builds crescendos into that Paralympic season, and then we just see drops coming in left, right and centre from people dropping not just hundreds of a second, tenths of a second, but big chunks of time, especially on an event like 400 metres where there is scope that if you are swimming well you can take seconds. If you take 1 second off each 50, if you've really been working on your pacing, then that's 8 seconds, and that's a massive personal best. So we've seen, especially some of the youngsters and the new swimmers, with this being one of their first competitions, really getting a flavour for this atmosphere and this major competition scenario and rising to the occasion. So yeah, we've definitely seen some huge improvements. So you can't take anything for granted when you just read a start time on the start sheet.
No, the race isn't won on paper, that's for sure. Got to do it in the water, and Susie Rogers is doing that just this morning in this heat, coming up to the 300 mark. Just looking at maybe under threat here for that place in the final. It does look like the Turkish swimmer in lane 0, lying in 9th place at the minute. Ormansi will be the one to drop out. The 8 swimmers are pretty much securing themselves this place in the final. Susie Rogers certainly is 4:11.65. We spoke about the individual medley, the importance of getting a place. You don't know about disqualifications, but quite difficult to get disqualified on freestyle.
Yes, there's only a few ways that you can get disqualified, and obviously there's the false start. I mean, in freestyle, you're even allowed to stop and hold on to the lane rope, or even put your feet on the floor. Obviously not in this pool because it's quite deep, but as long as you don't walk, you can pretty much do whatever you want. And then also you have to wear a swimming costume, and you can't wear a see-through swimming costume. But there are very few ways that you can get disqualified in a freestyle event, so it's always a bit of a surprise, unless you've seen someone wobble on the block or fall in when you get to the end of the race and there is a DQ next to the name.
These kind of technical matters can disqualify you, as we have found out this week, but hopefully there'll be no such problems today. Susie Rogers coming home comfortably. You can't miss the turn, I suppose, as well on freestyle, as we saw Lisette Brunsma do in the 400. But she went back, then she sculled back to the wall, the blind swimmer.
Yeah, yes she did, and there's no chance of Susie Rogers missing this wall as she comes into the finish in a comfortable 5:39.86. So she'll, barring any disqualifications, take lane 4 for this evening, Paul.
Well, 100 metres to go for the swimmer in lane 0. Susie Rogers just managing to get 2 lengths ahead of Ormansi, the Turkish swimmer. Pretty comfortable. Susie Rogers had a good week so far, hasn't she?
Yeah, she was really happy to make the consideration time at the Paralympic trials last week in Britain, and I think that really then takes the pressure off. And also, Ariana Talamona looking pretty pleased with her swim this morning, and she's a shrug of the shoulders. She looks like she's got plenty in the bag tonight, so she was a little off her entry time, but as we expected, Paul, when you only need to drop one swimmer, you're going to save your energy for where the medals are decided in the evening.
Erel Halevi came through for second position, 4:50.31. Talamona was third, 5:51.50, and Denise Graal 5:51.59. Verena Schott 5:55.61. Those are the top 5 swimmers. It does look like sixth position is Ida Andersson Wolf from Sweden, 6:28.48. Maria Barrientos Aron from Spain in 7th, 6:36.43. And Brenda Tilk from Estonia, 6:48.98. Those should be the finalists for this evening as we await the final swimmer completing the distance. Ormansi from Turkey making her debut here in Funchal for the Turkish team. First major international competition for her. And she is in now in 7:43. Just outside her entry time of 7:40. Again, one of the swimmers being brought for experience here, Liz. We've seen that quite a few of the teams doing that.
Yeah, definitely, and it's important to remember it's not just the guys that were sat behind that block in that second heat of the S7 400 freestyle for men that will have experienced that delay. That gets pushed back on all of these athletes, even as we try to catch up with time. And for someone like Romanchi, she's been in the core room, it's a new environment for her. She's done really well there to come in and only be 3 seconds off her best time.
But unfortunately there is a disqualification, so there must have been one of these technicalities that we were talking about before. We don't find out what the DQs are for, we only see what the officials have decided. Susie Rogers though, Erel Halevi and Ariana Talamona, they are the top 3, progress to that final. Commentators curse, Liz, talking about disqualifications, and one happens. Ugh.
You shouldn't have brought it up, Paul.
Well, expect some support some local support for Manuel Gonçalves. Local man from Madeira goes in lane number 6. What can we expect from this man, Liz? Andre Brazil. We've seen some interesting performances from him this week.
Yeah, every time I see him, he says he's starting to feel his age, and so I think he's trying to go through these rounds because he's got a big program. So he tries to go as easy as he can in the qualification rounds, but he almost went a little too easy in that 50 freestyle, Paul, when he qualified for the final by 200 a second, and I don't think we'll see him make that mistake and cut it that fine again.
Well, it should be fairly comfortable qualification, you would think, for Andre Brazil here. We have 2 heats, 6 swimmers in each of the 2 heats, so he only has to be in the top 8. I would imagine that he'd be able to do that pretty easily. He's in the yellow cap there, just in 2nd place at the minute, because lane number 2 going out, in fact lane number 3, sorry, Buganenko from Russia. He hits the front ahead of Andre Brazil, and Sven de Kastica from Belgium will be hoping to secure his place in the final.
Yeah, and we should see Andre Brazil is a brilliant backstroke swimmer, and here we see him coming through already with a low, comfortable stroke rate, and he does have the ability to do that, just really go down a few gears in these heats, but still look like an incredible technician. He's got such a flat head position, it doesn't move, the shoulder rotation. He's got company here with Sven de Kastica, and actually Andre Brazil, breaststroke is definitely his weakest stroke, so he'll try and stick with the Belgian swimmer in lane 5.
Great turn from Andre Brazil, really out well there on that breaststroke, and he's got an advantage over de Kastica. But de Kastica, very strong breaststroker, and he's coming up alongside Andre Brazil there, fighting that out for 1st and 2nd position. Buganenko coming back as well in lane number 3. Good butterfly, but he paid for it on the backstroke leg as the other 2 came past him. But Sven de Kastica having a great breaststroke here.
Yeah, he is a great breaststroker, and he's using it to his advantage, as Buganenko also coming back on Andre now through, and they turn, and so Andre Brazil will turn in 3rd position. We saw Sven have a brilliant 400 freestyle the other day, actually did a best time by 3 seconds, so we know he's got that final 50 in him, but he'll cruise down this last 50 now comfortably to hopefully qualify for the final this evening, barring any disqualifications, Paul.
Well, we saw him outside the other night. He was quite satisfied with his performances so far, and it does look like Sven de Kastica is going to take this in an excellent time, 2:19.15 for Sven de Kastica. He looked comfortable there. Buganenko in 2nd position in a time of 2:22. Andre Brazil eases in for 2:24.93. That will be a comfortable qualification for him. I expect to see him go a lot faster. And it is Manuel Gonçalves in 4th position. The Madeiran, 2:26.29. He'll be pleased with that one. 4th place might give him an opportunity to make the final. With 6 people in the heat, you've got to be in the top 8, remember. He'll be pleased for that 4th place position. Sven will be pleased with that swim, 2:19.15. Looked pretty good.
Yeah, he looked strong, especially down that breaststroke leg, and then he held it in the final 50 metres on the freestyle.
Denis Dubrov, European and World Champion from 2014 and 2015. And World and European bronze medalist next to him, Dmitry Vanzenko. There is Denis Dubrov. European record held by Dubrov, 2:11.94. He won the world title in a very close race against Benoit Huot from Canada.
Well, we saw Denis Dubrov get off to a good start there. He's breathing to the right, whereas Dmitry Grigorev actually is slightly ahead and breathing forward, so he won't be able to see Dubrov, but he's had a good start and he's a great fly swimmer, silver medalist in the London 2012 Paralympic Games, but obviously Dubrov, the world champion from last year in Glasgow, so you'd expect them to be ahead after that butterfly leg pull.
Yeah, pretty fast, 27.60, that's bang on the world record pace, world record held by Ben Mahour of Canada, set back in London in 2012. But Dubrov now using that backstroke to great advantage there. We saw that in the previous heat, Andre Brazil and Sven de Casticker. Dubrov following pretty much the same template.
Yeah, Dubrov finished on half a stroke there, and we could hear the slapping of his hands as he was so relaxed coming in. So he'll look to tidy that up a bit for the final. But here comes the breaststroke, and often such a telling a telling leg of the 200 medley, as we keep referring to. He's not the strongest breaststroker, but he's managing to maintain his lead here, Paul.
Yeah, he looks comfortable in the front of the field there in lane number 5. Vanzenko a little bit behind Denis Dubrov, and in third position Grigorev from Russia. Two Ukrainians out in front there, 141.87 for Denis Dubrov, and again really strong freestyler. We saw him in the 400 win that 400 freestyle.
Yeah, so we know he can close out this race, but here he's had a little look on that turn and he see that he's quite a way in front, and although there is a potential, he would, like, if he finishes, there's 8 swimmers through, so as long as he finishes in the top 2 of this race, regardless of everybody else's times, he will be through to the final tonight.
He does finish, he will be the fastest into the final. Next to him will be Vanzenko. And in third position, 225.16 for Dmitry Barasinski. Not particularly fast there. And Grigorev 228.91. Well, I wonder if Grigorev actually made that final. He may just have sneaked in, but we will see. I think Grigorev's just made it in 8th position by my reckoning, Liz. That would have been a bit of an error for the Russian.
Yeah, it's always hard, Paul, because obviously in swimming it is the fastest 8 times. It doesn't matter where you finish in the race. So in either heat, it's just the fastest 8 times to all heats progress to finals. So it is always a bit risky that you might get caught in a slower heat.
Dubrov made no mistake at all. Vanzenko made no mistake. And they win that heat. And there is a disqualification there. Patrick Kowalski was disqualified from Poland. It doesn't affect the top 4 positions. Dubrov, Vanzenko, Bartosinski and Grigoriev. Grigoriev moving away. Has he made it to the final? I think he may well just have sneaked in 8th position. He has. Dubrov and Vanzenko, the top 2. De Castiga look good. Andre Brazil will have more to give. The local Madeiran also in there in lane number 7. And Grigoriev in the outside lane. Well, he left it tight, didn't he?
He did, but he's made it, and that's all that really matters. So he'll make it back for the final this evening, and the medal could be won from any lane, Paul.
This looks like it's going to be a good one as well. 2 young Hungarians here, 2 French swimmers, a young Netherlands swimmer and a Portuguese swimmer as well completing that lineup. Now Bianca Papp, she's been very good this week, the 16-year-old, and Chantal Zuideveld from the Netherlands in lane number 5. And there's Teresa Neves. Swimmers splashing themselves with the water there, trying to get a feel of the temperature.
Yeah, and also the suits. These suits, if you dive in and they're not quite stuck down to your skin properly, they just fill with an air bubble and it becomes really uncomfortable. So a lot of swimmers use that water to splash, to just stick the suit to their skin.
This is the women's 200 individual medley, SM10, swimmers with a minimal impairment. Out fast in lane number 5, looks like Chantal Zuideveld, a 15-year-old from the Netherlands.
She's having a brilliant week already, Paul. We've seen her in a lot of finals and sneaking onto that European podium in a number of events. Her best event still to come She's got a strong breaststroke, but here, as we see, Elodie Lorandi is going to touch first on this 50 fly, at the end of this 50 metres butterfly.
Elodie Lorandi is a French swimmer and has been the European champion 2011 and 2009. She's struggling a bit on this backstroke because coming through next to her, Bianca Pap from Hungary, another one of these young Hungarians, 16-year-old. There's two Hungarians in this one, Gerard Jabo and Bianca Pap, and we saw them win a medal in the relay yesterday, which was a real bonus for them.
Yeah, it was an extremely young team, Paul, and the Hungarians really are coming of age, even though they're still only teenagers. We seem to have been talking about them for a number of years, but teenagers seem to be the theme of this SM10 race, and what Chantal Zuideveld steamed down this breaststroke leg after she's in fine form, finally breaking the world record in the 100 metres breaststroke after it stood for 16 years for Canadian Jessica Sloan. So she's really, really making progress here.
Well, here she comes, the Dutch swimmer, pulling up into contention for second place now, but certainly in that centre lane it does look like it's Bianca Pap there. Bianca Pap, they're all coming back, but not quite. 2 minutes, 0.15 for Bianca Pap. Zuideveld in second position now. She moved through very well as we expected she would. Watch out for Lorandi on the freestyle though, very strong freestyler. And Bianca Pap trying to hold on to the lead. Lorandi coming back here. But Bianca Pap, well, she is holding on now. 16-year-old from Hungary against the 26-year-old Lorandi from France. It's a very good contest this first heat, but it does look like Bianca Pap is going to get this one in 2:37.07. So good swim there from Bianca Pap. Good swim from the first four swimmers trying to make their way into the final, of course, and they've given themselves a good chance there. Fourth place swimmer was Chantal Zuideveld, 2:40.01, so 2:40 the target for the second heat.
Yeah, and that looks comfortable there. We see Bianca Pap looking at the scoreboard, getting a check of her time. She's really developed over the last couple of years, and she's had some strong events here, which always sets you up well for a 200 individual medley if you know that your other stroke events have gone strongly.
Well, there she is in the end, holding off the challenge from Lorandi.
She may not have seen how close Elodie Lorandi was to her because she was actually breathing away from her. So Lorandi did have the advantage there, and we saw her start to close that gap, but the wall just came a little bit too soon.
Second heat has got a strong lineup here. Nina Ryabova, well, what a week she is having. Fantastic performances. 50 freestyle world record and the 100 butterfly title ahead of Olivia Jaboyska. There's Aurélie Rivard. She won the open titles in the sprint freestyles. Canadian, the only Canadian here, and she was silver medalist at the World Championships in this event last year, behind Sophie Pascoe of New Zealand.
All pretty evenly matched with the reaction time there, but again, as we saw, strong underwater from Aurélie Rivard, but that tall figure of Nina Ryabova maximising her height, and she's up there in the lead, and she will be full of confidence after that 100 metres butterfly victory, Paul.
Yeah, she's really performing fantastically well here. Nina Ryabova, real step up in her performances here at these championships. She's ahead of Rivard. Kopilovic from Russia in lane number 7, going well in the early stages. And in fourth position was Olivia Jaboyska. And Hernando Santos from Spain also going well in the butterfly event.
Here we see Aurélie Rivard starting to pull away on the backstroke, but Nina Ryabova has got a good breaststroke. She's always been renowned for her breaststroke, even before this in-form meet, so it's interesting to see how that leg's going to go for her. But Jablonska sticking with the two girls at the front, and we're in for an interesting breaststroke leg because Harriet Lee 5 metres behind at this coming into this turn, but she is a brilliant breaststroker. She's coming into this meet in good form, broke the British record in this event in Glasgow at the British trials last week, so here she comes on the charge. And as we've said, Paul, when you can see the swimmers in front of you on breaststroke, it does make that charge easier, but sometimes it just takes a little bit too much out of you when you turn onto that freestyle leg.
Well, Harriet Lee went 2:35 last week at those British trials, and well, 2:40 was the 4th position in that previous heat for Chantal Zuiderveld. So she will be looking on this one with a little bit of a nervousness here. Harriet Lee comes up alongside Nina Ryabova. Aurélie Rivard will lead into the final 50 metres, but Harriet Lee, an excellent breaststroke there, getting on pace with Ryabova.
Yeah, she hugged the side of the lane rope that Ryabova was also occupying, and she really got up on her shoulder and used that to her advantage. Jablonska, she lost quite a bit of ground on that breaststroke, but now all 4 of these girls seem to be really easing off and just looking to get through to the end of the race and hopefully beat the 5th place time from the previous heat.
Well, the 4th place time was 2:40 for Chantal Zuiderveld. They're going to be inside that. Aurélie Rivard in there ahead of Ryabova, ahead of Harriet Lee, and Jablonska is 2:41 in 4th position, and she may well qualify for that final. I think in 8th position, Jablonska there, so leaving it again a little bit to the outside lane. We've seen this quite a bit this week. Rivard going into that final turn. Harriet Lee, great breaststroke leg there for Harriet Lee. She looks bang on form.
Yeah, and Aurélie Rivard did well to hold on to that lead even at the end of that breaststroke leg, because that's definitely the weakest of her 4 strokes. But she always knows that she's got a brilliant freestyle to rely on to come in, and then we saw her hitting the wall fairly easily, and she'll have a lot more for tonight.
And 2:34.48 for Aurélie Rivard of Canada. Nina Ryabova in 2nd, Harriet Lee in 3rd, with Jablonska in 4th position in that heat, and Jablonska is in 8th position in that final. She makes it, Chantal Zuiderveld makes it, but Rivard, Ryabova and Pap are the top 3. Oh, 50 freestyles now, Les.
The swimmers are coming thick and fast, Paul. We're trying to make up some time from that delay that we had earlier in the programme.
And 10 swimmers in this one. A couple of S1 swimmers. And the rest are S2. So again, this event, the S1s and S2s combined. For one set of medals, we have 2 world record holders in this one. All of them going in from the side of the pool. Some of them going in over the top. Here's Dmitry Kokarev and his coaching team. Been with him for a couple of years now, a few years back.
Yeah, for these swimmers that rely on assistance at the start or at the end of the race, it's really important to build up a relationship with and have that trust, like we've seen with the S11 swimmers and the other visually impaired swimmers, because you really are putting, I guess, your fate in their hands, and that's an interesting way of getting into the pool there, Paul.
That's Mammy's fell off. Yeah, his coaching team know him well. The Israeli swimmer, a world record holder in the S1 class, given some encouragement by his coach. Hey, on you go.
Maybe that's why he goes in from the side, because if they did that from the block, he'd definitely be disqualified.
Yes, Kokarev again employing that held by the feet tactic.
This is the 50-metre freestyle, of course, Paul, so we will definitely see some athletes choosing to do backstroke on this in this event, because they get better rotation on their shoulders and more purchase on the water.
He's fell off, of course, the S1 swimmer, just with the use of that arm. I think he looks like the only one that is actually swimming on his front. The rest are swimming backstroke, and in the centre lanes they have gone out pretty well. Kokarev and Panibratets and Palamarchuk going well at the moment.
Yeah, Paul, and there's a tight race at the in the middle of the field at the moment. All four swimmers quite evenly matched, with Panibrat's taking up a bit of an early lead, but now as they gain momentum and they start to improve, we'll see actually these swimmers quite often will build through the 50 metres and come into a really strong finish.
Well, they're on to the last 15 metres now, and a bit of a shock that Kokarev is not quite contesting for the lead. We've seen him in world record breaking form this week, but he is looking like he is around about 4th or 5th position at the moment. And the win here is going to be Palmarchuk, 101.03, a good time for him. Jacek Czech comes in 101.94 in second position. Panibratets was third, with Kokarev in 4th position in 104.56. Not a great time there for Kokarev, as we might have expected.
Well, Paul, he put in a pretty impressive performance last night. He was at world record pace all the way through that event, so it wouldn't be too surprising if he was feeling a bit of fatigue this morning, and he'll just be happy to get through this heat, maybe use it as a loosener, and hopefully come back on top form this evening.
Well, there are the final times for these swimmers, and all down to Wojciech Franek should progress to the finals. There are the finalists. Palamarchuk will be in the pole position for tonight. Jacek Czech will also be in lane number 5, one of the centre lanes. But one to watch out for. That's been the event, the class that has provided most records this week, the S1s and S2 classifications.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of technical developments within their strokes, and they've all gone away and worked really hard. And that when we see it starting to progress, they really experience a big jump because of the nature of the races and the length of time that they take.
Well, the men's S6 50 metres freestyle about to go. This will be quick. Alexander Komarov in the centre lane there. He's the man to watch out for, lane number 4. And again, number of starts. Some swimmers in the water, depending on their impairment. Some will go for the dive, some will get assistance from their coaches. Young man being in great form, Thijs van Hofwegen, the Dutch swimmer in lane number 5, just about to go up onto the blocks there.
Yeah, he's been brought here to get some international experience because he has actually posted a qualification time for the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games. So it's a really small Dutch team here, only 4 swimmers, but he's actually being mentored by Mark Evers at this meet, and they both seem to be doing a good job because, as you said, Paul, he's having a brilliant meet.
Didn't get away off the block the best, and that was probably the man. Well, it's very, very close indeed. It's probably lane 3 maybe that got off. Brocchiardo got off very well, and also going well Kleagen in lane number 6, but it does look like lane 4 is coming through now. Komarov, the world champion, Komarov, world medalist, sorry, and he is coming in to take this first heat. Komarov will take that one, 31.20, Komarov, and 33 for Van Hofwegen, and Brocchiardo 33 as well. So Komarov takes that one. Still got a couple of swimmers coming in there. Not sure what happened to Rojas Cabrera from Spain there.
No, he doesn't look overly happy with how that race went for him, so it's possible that something happened to him, and because that was a considerably slower time than he'd entered.
It's Komarov though coming in, be comfortable at the front of the field there. Komarov 31.20. That's a good time for Comer. I'll be pleased with that one. And Ties van Hulwegen, 33.13. First of the 3 swimmers all swimming in the 33-second mark. So the first 4 swimmers all under the 34 seconds, Liz. Is that going to be the benchmark for this?
It will definitely be a target that the swimmers in this next heat are aiming for if they want to be sure of a place in that final.
There's Nelson Crispin. What can he do? We've seen him in great form as well. And there is Panagiotis Christakis from Greece, European medalist 2 years ago. There's Ivo Roca from Portugal in that outside lane. The 2 men in the centre, Nelson Crispin and that man Christakis, will be the ones to watch, I think. They may not get off the blocks the best. May well be Semenenko in lane number 6. Swimmer with no arms there, and he started well, Semenenko.
Yeah, he did, and we saw he's up and into his stroke, but the guys that started, Sebastian Ivanov started in the water and he was straight up and into his stroke, but actually now it is Nelson Crispin in that middle lane, or as expected, who's starting to power through, and all the swimmers starting to come back on Semenenko. And will he hold on for that 3rd or 4th place?
Well, great turnover here from Nelson Crispin, and he's in there in 30.26. That was an excellent time for Nelson Crispin. And Christakis in second, 32.21, and Ivanov 32.59, just gets up ahead of Semenenko in the closing stages. Well,
Semenenko making the most of that start, because he knows that 15 metres, he's allowed to go 15 metres underwater with that fly kick, and it is proven to be, if you can do it properly, the fastest way of moving through the water. So he used that, but then Nelson Crispin, once he was up into his stroke, that high stroke rate, he really came in and took the lead like at the 20 metre mark, and he never looked back.
Well, 5 swimmers under the 34-second mark, and the 5th swimmer just missing out there to Sergei Klyagin, 33.82. We started off very well in that first heat, scrapes into the final, but he's there, he's got a lane, and that's all he needs for tonight.
So Paul, we were actually wrong, 33.88, missed out on the final, so sub 34 wasn't the marker that these athletes needed to aim for.
Good job there. They can't hear us when they're down there.
That's why we're up here and not down there, Paul.
We saw Victoria Savtsova next to Nicole Turner, 2 swimmers who have had an excellent week so far, and so is this lady, Oksana Krul. Had a good swim yesterday, didn't she?
Yes, she did in that 100 breaststroke. She led from start to finish, and that will give her confidence. She did a good time, and we'll look for her to swim actually butterfly. She usually swims down this freestyle length, and that'll be a good indicator of how she's going for a main event later in the week.
Yeah, she's won all there is to win on the 50 metres butterfly for the S6. We're in the 50 metres freestyle now, though. Again, 2 heats, and I would expect Savtsova to be the favourite for this one. She's a very good sprinter.
Yes, Savtsova doesn't always get away, but she doesn't make any use of the underwater, but she comes straight up and into her stroke, and she's got such a high stroke rate. We can see those high leg kicks, and there she's already up on Oksana Krul, going into the lead. That one straight arm and then that one high elbow. She's got quite a high head position when she breathes, but she's been working on it, and we can see that she is starting to, when she puts her head in the water, she does streamline, and if she can learn to hold her breath a bit more, she's going to be dangerous. But she's already challenging for that world record.
Well, it's going to be very close. It is inside the record. It's 33.78 for Victoria Savtsova. Well, what a fantastic time there for Victoria Savtsova in the heat. And boy, that was superb. 33.78. She's followed on by Oksana Krul. But Liz, well, you picked it.
Yeah, she's an athlete that's just improved and improved, and she always seems to give everything, whether it's a heat or a final. She goes as fast as she can, but she always seems so surprised at the end of the race when she does a good time, but that definitely was a good time. She first ever S6 female swimmer to go under the 34-second barrier.
Well, there we go. 33.78 for Savtsova. Swimmer, of course, affected in all 4 limbs. Cerebral palsy. She takes that one in 33.78. Oksana Krul, 2nd position in that heat. Nicole Turner from Ireland in 3rd position. And Sabina Weber-Treiber in 4th position, 37.62. Well, what are the swimmers in this heat going to do here? Eleanor Robinson, how can she do here? What can the former world record holder do here? Yelizaveta Mareshko, Emanuela Romano, so world champion back in 2013 in this event.
Eleanor Robinson getting a good start there, as did Anastasia Didorova, but here comes Yelizaveta Mareshko. She's a powerful swimmer, she's been in great form this week, putting in good heat swims, and how will she respond to that world record in the previous heat?
Well, look at this, Mareshko, she's keeping her head down certainly. There's hardly any breathing going on for Yelizaveta Mareshko. And could we see 2 world records in 2 races? Oh, it's very close, it's 33.92. But completely different strokes there for Mareshko and Savtsova. And it's tight, she shakes her head there. I think she wanted that one, didn't she?
Yeah, and I think there's always a barrier. It's always nice to be that first person to break the barrier, and she missed out by about 4 minutes, Paul, being the first athlete. But she gave it everything she had. She took 2 breaths in the last 15 metres, and if tonight, if she can minimise that and maybe only take 1 and place it better in that 50 metres, then she's got a chance. It'll be a really tight race this evening.
And Mareshko, 33.92. Inside the old world record, but just 14 more hundreds slower than her countrymate Eleanor Robinson. A good swim from her in 2nd. She will go to the final in 3rd position behind the 2 Ukrainians. Good swim from all 3 of the top swimmers there.
Yeah, brilliant, and another world record in the heats, Paul. This is the meet that just keeps on giving.
Fantastic. If the heats were the other way about, we would have had 2 world records. Mareshko also under the old mark. Andrew Mullen, what European Championships he had last time. 4 gold medals, including a medal in this one, and he's doing pretty well so far.
Yeah, he's already got 2, and he's really enjoying the fact that Daniel Diaz is here and he's having another opportunity to race him, because they don't actually get to meet each other that often.
Daniel Diaz will go in heat number 2. Here's Andrew Mullen with that starting device that he uses. He doesn't get a grip on the blocks, but he can use those starting straps, if you like, to give him, to enable him to hold the wall.
Andrew Mullen, they're using his trademark underwater 15 metres. He used 14 and a half of them, so he's got half a metre to save if he makes it through to the final. And he's looking strong here, but he's being challenged by...
It's Vereshgate from
it is Vereshgate, but now Andrew Mullen is starting to come through. He's got such a good kick, and he uses his hips to really generate the power through his whole body.
Andrew Mullen is going to take this one against another one of the experienced Hungarians, 6-time Paralympian Vereshgate. He's won 3 gold medals in this event. The 50 backstroke is unbeatable for a long period of time, but the youngsters like Andrew Mullen have caught him up, but he's still good enough for 2nd position there. 40.70 for the Hungarian, 39.57 for Andrew Mullen. That's a decent time for Andrew Mullen, maybe hoping to go a second or 2 quicker tonight in the final. Look at the tension there, holding on to that block.
Andrew Mullen's really worked on developing his strength over the last couple of years, and he's so hard on himself. He sets himself such high targets, so quite often we'll see him, even at the end of a heat, not express too much joy with his time, because he just, like I said, he wants to be a Paralympic champion, and he knows he needs to challenge PBs all the time to get close to Daniel Davis. But we saw there that he had a brilliant backstroke finish and really stretched that arm that he has available to him.
McMullen wins that first heat ahead of Bereshke and ahead of Masusi. Move on to heat number 2. We will see Daniel Dias, Brazil's most successful Paralympian. We will also see João Pinho for Portugal in lane number 1. There is Daniel Dias. His entry time of 35.34. Here's the world record holder in 34.99. Eroglu, World Championship medalist last year, the Turkish swimmer. He's their only medalist so far in the S5 classification. Daniel Dias. Well, he was beaten yesterday by Fuentes Garcia in the breaststroke. Probably his weakest event. He's very strong at this one. He's not quite as dominant as he is in the freestyle.
No, and he's another Brazilian swimmer. That's such a heavy program that he's just trying to find off people who are really taking specific battles. And here we see another starting device, and actually Betula Eroglu of Turkey using his teeth to hold on to that starting device that he will have developed with his coaches.
So James Scully from Ireland not starting in lane number 2. Dias away pretty well, Eroglu going well. And also in lane number 3, it's Vo Tang Tung from Vietnam.
Yeah, Paul, Eroglu had the best start, but that advantage has already been eaten up, and he's out of shot now as Daniel Dias powers down this 50 meters, but he's got company from Vo of Vietnam, and it'll be interesting to see what time gets posted here. Daniel Dias coming in a time of 36.62. He'll be happy with that for this morning.
Yeah, good time there from Daniel Dias. He takes that one 36.62. And Vo Tang from Vietnam, be happy with that one, 41.19 for the Vietnamese swimmer. He was a Vietnamese medalist at the World Championships last year, Vietnam's first male medalist. They took 2 medals, 1 male, 1 female. Excellent World Championships last year for the Vietnamese team, and they're a country that is on the up, definitely.
And again, like we said, with those being the first person under a time barrier, it's also nice to always say that you were the first World Championship medalist for your country.
Daniel Dias though, he looks tough to beat. He's always got that one finger that he sticks up in celebration, isn't it?
Wags it when he wins, and he's actually just won the Laureus Award for the 3rd time, Paul. So he's such a high caliber swimmer, and he's really looking forward to his home Paralympic Games.
He will qualify for the final this evening in 1st position. Tang Tung Vo, good swim from him, in 2nd position. And progressing to the final, there are the top 8 swimmers. Daniel Dias leads the way. So he moves swiftly on. I think you're right, Liz, they're trying to catch up this time. They've not given us much time to breathe, really. Still got a few events to go. Sarah Louise Wrong there in the 50 backstroke for the S5 classification, next to her long-time rival, Teresa Perales. And there's Bella Trebinova from the Czech Republic going in lane number 5, and the home favourite, Simone Fragoso from Portugal. Big star here in Portugal. We were hearing this morning she was in a Portuguese version of Big Brother.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know where she gets the time to do this. She's also a music teacher, so she's a very busy lady.
One of the well-known faces of Paralympic sport in Portugal. World record held by Natalia Ziani, formerly Natalia Progaeva.
It's not often that we see Sarah Louise Wrong entering a heat in lane 3, Paul.
Yeah, she's been dominant so far, but she is not the favourite in this one. Sarah Louise Wrong, Teresa Perales, Bella Trebinova. they are going to be the three probably will challenge for the medals here. Anita Fatis going well for France, nearest us in that white cap, just going back now, but Teresa Perales looking very good here, being challenged by Trebinova as they come into the last 15 metres, and Teresa Perales looking like she's going to take this one ahead of the Czech Republic swimmer. Sarah-Louise Rong coming through into third position. Perales will touch in a time of 43.67. Teresa Perales, good time for her, she'll be pleased with that one. And Trebinova in second, 46.44. Sarah-Louise Rong in third position. Congratulations from the two old friends and rivals.
Well, they are very familiar with each other. They race each other. We've raced each other every day this week, and you do develop a friendship because you have that mutual respect for the effort and the way that your athletes that you can compete against train. So it's nice to see that friendship at the end of the race there.
And they were first and third in that race. Bela Trebinova in second position. The experienced Czech swimmer, actually retired from 2010 through to 2015, came back last year. She won the gold medal title for this event in Beijing and in Athens. She's second this time to Teresa Perales, and there are the swimmers who will progress to the final. There will be a Portuguese presence in that final. Simone Fragoso in seventh position. 400 freestyle for the men in the S13 classification. Well, they were due off at 10:30, Liz. We're now probably about 7 or 8 minutes behind schedule, so picking up slightly.
Yeah, the meet managers will do everything they can to get it back on track, because it is difficult for the athletes when they fall behind, and if they can catch up that time, then their preparations are back ahead. But there will be information being sent back to the warm-up area and the staff and the teams that says that we're running behind, so then people can adjust their warm-up protocols. The only problem then is that when we get back on time, sometimes you do find that you're like not quite ready and you're a bit rushed, but that often gets the adrenaline pumping.
We'll see how these guys go here. It's the 400 freestyle for men in the S13 classification. S12s, of course, it's a combined event. Ihar Boki in the centre lane. Swimmers just X'd in the water from that previous race, so that's that just very slight delay there. Backstroke flags are removed. Ihar Boki in lane number 4. Sergei Punko, the experienced man representing Russia. 35 years of age now, Sergei Punko, one of the world's very best. Ihar Boki, the S13 swimmer, has won the titles in this event in Paralympic Games and in the last 2 World Championships. So Ihar Boki, S13 swimmer, against Sergei Punko, the S12 swimmer.
And Ihar Boki is such a talented athlete when you can see someone go as fast as he does on those sprint events but still dominate over a 400 meter freestyle. We see him taking it very easy here in a slow, relaxed style, similar to that we see the way Andre Brazil swims his heats, and it just shows the quality and class of these swimmers, that they're able to drop the pace that much in the heat and still qualify in a good lane for the final and really give them a chance at another crack at a gold medal and a world record, because he's still chasing that elusive world record this week, Ihar Boki. But he has got company from Roman Saleh, and again, that'll be nice. And these swimmers, they have the potential to be able to see the athlete in the lane next to them, but quite often they'll have vision better in one eye than the other, so they'll only get that luxury of seeing their competitors going down one length of the race.
Well, he does look extremely comfortable, Ihar Boki. Big, long, rangy arms stretching forward there, and great discipline again at the turns. He went around about 9 or 10 metres there underwater.
Yeah, it's often in a heat like this when he's likely to make the final, you'll come in with a specific goal to try and achieve a performance goal, and it might often be that you've set yourself with your coach a specific target to hit off every turn, or a certain number of strokes down the length. I mean, a lot of these visually impaired athletes will rely heavily on stroke count anyway, because they can't spot the wall as the rest of the athletes do, because it doesn't come into vision until very late on, especially the speed that these S12s and S13s go. The wall's come in even faster. They've got less time to spot it. So there's a number of things, a number of performance targets that athletes come into heats, especially in the distance events, because it can be quite hard to not go all out and waste too much energy, but also not lose focus. Because, Paul, you'll know that in training sometimes, when you're on those longer distance sets, if you let your mind wander, your times all of a sudden go all over the place.
Yeah, it takes a lot of concentration for these distance events, and I suppose if these swimmers are stroke counting and your speed is different from what you might expect if you're going at your full rate of speed, then your stroke count's going to be changing as well, potentially.
Yeah, you definitely have different stroke counts for different speeds, but these swimmers will all have trained that, because they do rely heavily on stroke count in these visually impaired classifications. And actually, whereas some athletes will use stroke rate or markers in the pool of other people they train with, these visually impaired athletes become very self-sufficient, and because often they're completely reliant on themselves, because they don't have that luxury of being able to race people 3 lanes over and use them as a marker. So they'll have different paces and they'll have different stroke rate counts relating to each pace.
Well, Ihar Boki is on his way home now. He has got 25 metres to go. He has swum this fantastically well, actually picking up the pace as he's coming in to the closing stages now. He's going to be somewhere just over the 4-minute mark, maybe about 4:04-ish. 4:04.23 for Ihar Boki. And the man that was with him in the early stages but just couldn't live with the pace, Raman Salai, the younger of the two Salai brothers, in 4:18.11. And Sergei Funchal, the S12 swimmer, 4:21.66. And you would imagine that those three will be safe enough for the finals. Just looking at the times posted for the second heat, there are only 3 swimmers under that time. And another swimmer, Great Britain, Steve Clegg, on 4:23. But Stephen Clegg, another one of these youngsters that have come in, may well see a possible improvement on the time for Stephen Clegg.
Yeah, Stephen Clegg's another athlete that had put in some brilliant performances at the British trials, and he made some real improvements. He's the type of athlete as well that really embrace this environment and use it and thrive on it, and it quite often drives you to a quicker time. So we'll be hoping for him to put in a good performance, because it's always nice to see youngsters from any country develop and really make their way through the ranks.
Stephen Clegg in his 20s now, but we have got a few teenagers going in that second heat as well. Gunnarsson from Iceland and Engel from Germany and Aslan from Turkey. And that's the second heat just to come. Ihar Boki dominated that first heat in 4:04.23, and he looks pretty invincible going in to the second heat. We'll see what the second heat can do though. Yaroslav Denisenko is a man who has gone under the 4-minute mark before, and he has not been able to get in ahead of Ihar Boki at the major championships. But Denisenko has been number 1 in the world rankings for the last 2 years, although he's never quite managed to get the better of Boki in a major championships.
No, Paul, and you know how it is. You can come in with the best time, but it's all about who gets their hand on the wall first in that important race and takes that medal home.
Chufarov goes in lane number 5. He's the world record holder for the S12 classification.
And they're all up and into the start. And another thing that the visually impaired athletes struggle with is a lot of athletes that have the benefit in other classifications of going in the second heat, they can look at the scoreboard and see what times have been produced and then kind of pace it and gauge it on that and conserve energy. It's an advantage to go in the second heat. But these visually impaired athletes, they can't see the scoreboard, so unless they hear what the commentator says, then they have to just go for their normal race plan. And then you said Stephen Clegg 20 as if it's old, Paul. He is a youngster and he's had a great first 50 there, and he's actually having a great first 100.
He's got the similar build to a lot of the athletes that he's competing against in this visually impaired class. They're all kind of big, tall men. They're very, very slim. What he probably hasn't got is maybe the strength just yet.
Yeah, that's what I said, Paul. He's young, he's got time. So he has, like you said, he's got a tall frame, he's got the build that he requires, but he does need to get into the gym now and build on that and get the strength. But initially for him, it was about developing as an athlete so he could put himself in contention to make teams such as this and experience this environment and major competitions. And then from here, he'll get some good times, and then he'll go away, and with the British team, they've got a great setup there now. He'll take the advice, and he will. And we'll see him develop in strength and stature over the next few years.
Well, he's certainly developed over the last little while, I can tell you, and he's from a good family background, Stephen Clegg. His brother and sister, both Paralympic medalists, of course, and he will be taking advice from them. Libby Clegg in athletics, and James Clegg in swimming. And James Clegg, fantastic bronze medal in the London Paralympic Games. A real competitor, James Clegg, and Stephen Clegg definitely inherited some of his competitive instinct from his siblings.
Well, it's great that he's got those two role models within his family to really guide him through this, because being an elite athlete is a very unique experience, and there's not too many places that you can take advice from. So it's great that he's got access to two very experienced Paralympians within his own household.
Denisenko, though, is the man at the front of the field. Clegg still in second position, going really well. And Denisenko has gone a little bit faster than Boki went in that first heat. This could be shaping up for a fantastic battle between these two. Boki and Denisenko yet again, as we've seen at the last few major championships. Denisenko going over in 303.26 there at the 300 mark.
If Denisenko can get into this centre lane and be next to Boki, it might be that we see finally that elusive world record that Boki has been chasing all week. He'll be pushed to it if he's got company on his 400 freestyle in the final tonight, Paul.
Well, he might have a bit of competition for that world record as well, because Denisenko may well have his sights set on it as well. It stands at 355.56, held by Boki. And Denisenko coming down this last half length now. Stephen Clegg just going over there, still in second position, still holding on to that position ahead of Golontovski. And here we go now, Yaroslav Denisenko coming in. Is he going to be faster than Boki? 406.18 for Denisenko. Stephen Clegg and Golontovski coming in now to fight out the second position. It's going to be Golontovski, I think, will take it. He does in 420.96. Clegg in 421.06. And Chufarov 424 for the S12 swimmer. Boki 404, Denisenko 406. Well, it's going to be quite a contest, I think, tonight. These two have gone head to head the last 3 or 4 major championships and there has been very, very little in it. Just a matter of a second, I think. The last two World Championships been decided by less than a second.
And that always makes a 400-metre freestyle exciting when you've got that tussle at the front of the field, when it goes right down to the wire, because quite often you'll get a distance event where it's dominated by someone out in front. It's a race against the clock, but for spectators it's brilliant when you get those two middle lanes racing it out.
Well, will this be Denisenko's time for glory? We will find out tonight, because he will be going alongside Iharboki. They will be in the centre two lanes. He was very comfortable, very, very comfortable. Similar to the Iharboki, didn't really have to do very much for qualification, just wanted to make sure he's in the centre of that pool. Denisenko wins that second heat ahead of Golantowski and ahead of Stephen Clegg. Boki, Denisenko, Raman Salai, Golantowski, Clegg, Funchal, Chufarov and Itzea. They are the finalists for that men's 400 freestyle S13. Should be a fascinating contest tonight.
Yeah, Paul, another exciting race in prospect.
Got the Spanish Championship here in this first heat. 3 Spaniards in the centre lanes.
Well, we said that the Spanish are getting stronger and stronger all the time, and here we see it. It's always a bit annoying when you're the supporter, though, when you've got athletes, a number of athletes in the same event, and they all come out in the same heat.
3 Spaniards are Delgado Nadal, Edo Beltran, Gomez Batelli. 2 other swimmers here, Naomi Chirap from Romania and Shok Sanamkon Toshbatova from Uzbekistan. One of the longest names we've had to contend with this week.
Yes, but you've nailed it, Paul.
Yes, it's not an easy one.
You wouldn't want to play a game of red letter with a. Do you remember that game? Or was that after your time?
Oh, probably after my time. A lot of things are.
Well,
Toshbatova
gone again on another good start. Like you said, but we've seen her in top form, beating all of her times in all her events this week, and she's gone for this one from the start in lane 2 as well. With no time, another outside burner who hasn't got an entry time, take us by surprise. We've seen a lot of that this week.
Well, she's been set Asian records along with her Uzbekistan teammate Odilova. Odilova actually set the world record in the 100 metres butterfly. Toshbatova going over there in a pretty good time there, 104.92. Well, keep an eye on the clock. She's definitely going to be on for an Asian record again. I think probably her 3rd or 4th Asian record this week, because the Asian record stands at 5:46. It's held by Kasumoto of Japan, and she's going to be on, if she continues at this pace, she's going to be under the 4:30 pace. It's going to be a significant Asian record here.
Yeah, that'll be a great swim, and she is really one of those athletes that we've been talking about here that has come to this European Open and used it as a great opportunity to swim in a big event with a good atmosphere, a quality swimming pool, and really put down some best times that'll get her qualified hopefully for Rio for the summer, and see what she can do there.
No, I'm not sure what the team size of Uzbekistan is going to be for swimming. Your country has to earn slots to have your athletes into the Paralympic Games. It is based on the results at the World Championships. It's based on the world rankings. As of a certain point in time, it's probably too late to get those slots now for the Uzbekistan team. There will be wildcards available. There'll be some countries that will not take up all of their slots. So swims now may well guarantee her a place in the Paralympic Games, but it's it's not 100% guaranteed, is it?
No, absolutely not. And we often see countries where they have more athletes qualified than the number of slots available to them. I know that the South Africans are actually in that situation this summer, and as we've touched upon already this week, so are the Argentinians.
Yeah, Tosh Pilotova is coming away very strongly. She has been featuring very heavily in these open events this week, as well as her teammate Hotelova. And she's coming down now to the 300 mark. Be quite difficult to leave these two swimmers now who are so high in the world rankings, and one of them now a world record holder. If the Uzbekistan don't get the slots for these, that's quite a dilemma, I think, for the IPC to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially in these visually impaired classifications, we do every now and again see a dip in the number of competitors, so it really would be nice to have these athletes there competing and really strengthen the depth of the competition at the Paralympic Games. But as you said, Paul, sometimes at this late stage, when you find an athlete this late on, it really is a dilemma, not only for the IPC, but for the country. If they do have the slots and the two other athletes have qualified for those slots, but then you find another two athletes that maybe are more eligible for those slots, then who goes?
And all these wild cards as well will be used, of course, to protect events as well. Just countries may not enter events and they need a certain number to run events as well, so it's all a big juggling act here when they get to the Paralympic Games. Numbers are in short supply. Here is Oshpolotova coming in now. She touches in that time. Oh, well, time's not registering actually. So around about 4:45 for Tosh Pilotova, and Edo Beltran, well, it's closed up there on the Uzbekistan swimmer, 4:46.34. Delgado Nadal 4:54.83, and Gomez Batelli 4:56.08. A good comeback there from Edo Beltran, bronze medalist, of course, from the World Championships last year. The time now for Tosh Pilotova is confirmed, 4:44.80, and that is, as we expected, a new Asian record.
Well predicted, Paul. Yeah, again, she continues her fine form, and it's nice to see she's coming into these heats and she's swimming fairly comfortably and doing best times, and as a swimmer that is always a confidence builder. And here we see the heat being completed by the Romanian swimmer Naomi Kurap in 5 minutes 46.77, so she'll have to wait and see. If, as we've said before, you can all make it through from one heat into the final, but she needs for that time to only be beaten by 3 other swimmers in this next heat.
There are some strong swimmers coming in that second heat, so it's going to be tough for the Romanian to make it through. But Shock, Sanamkorn, Tosh Pilotova, an Asian record there for Uzbekistan. Edo Beltran and Delgado Nadal and Gomez Batelli, second, third and fourth for Spain. One swimmer not taking a start in heat number 2, and that might help the qualification prospects of the Spanish swimmers. Another Spanish swimmer in this one. Well, there is Naomi Mikey Schnittger going out in the lane number 5, just next to the early leader, Anna Stetsenko. Anna Stetsenko, the European record holder. She was the world record holder coming into the World Championships last year, beaten by Rebecca Myers of the USA. A good start there, 30.49 for the first 50 for Stetsenko. She was good in the 50 The 100, sorry, the other day.
Yes, she had a brilliant second half to that race, so that would suggest that she's got the endurance to get through this 400 metres. And here we see the two middle lane swimmers, very contrasting strokes. Zisenko in lane 4, high elbows, lengthening the stroke at the front. That's how she's keeping it easy this morning. And then we see Naomi Schinke in lane 5. She's got that straight arm freestyle. She's got quite a strong leg kick already for this 400 metres. Quite often we'd see athletes holding back with that leg kick, but she seems to be slowing down the stroke rate of her arms and driving the swim from the legs.
Well, Zisenko, it's gone out pretty well, 104.49. Just about a second outside the world record pace. Held now by Rebecca Myers, and European record a couple of seconds short of that. And we shall see how Zisenko can go in this as they come down to halfway point. She didn't swim particularly well in this event in the World Championship final. We're hoping to make amends here in the European Championship final. And she's pulling away from Naomi Maike Schnittger from Germany. Actually won the European gold medal in this event back in Berlin in our home European Championships in 2011.
She is stretching away, but the swimmers in lane 6 and 7, Polo Lopez and Krauso, are keeping each other company for that 3rd and 4th position, and that's nice on a 400 freestyle. We've had a few this morning already, and we've said these distance events can be quite lonely, so when you go in for that steady but not crazily fast time in the morning, it's nice to have someone that you can mark and stick to.
Well, Elena Kravtsov had a fantastic breaststroke swim ahead of Great Britain's Rebecca Redfern the other night. She's back on form, missed the World Championships last year, but she's back now. Swimming very well. And is the European champion on that 100 breaststroke. Zisenko. Well, it's difficult to see anyone can challenge Zisenko in this one.
Yeah, she's looking really comfortable here, and she's got a steady stroke, but she really, as we can see, she's lengthening it out and keeping that stroke rate quite low, which would suggest that she's got plenty of gears to go up tonight, Paul. And we saw on that 100 freestyle, as you said at the start of the race, how she was down and out at 50. Those S12 swimmers, Hannah Russell and Daria Stokolova, really took out that race, but she came so strongly back in that last 20 metres, and she ended up winning quite convincingly.
Certainly has got the strength, and it's Zisenko. She's coming up to the final turn now, and the time that she is probably going to hit somewhere around about the 4:30 mark-ish, maybe just over. Anna Zisenko looks like she's swimming comfortably, swimming with confidence, I would guess.
Yeah, and she will have taken great confidence from that 100 metre freestyle. To know that you can be so far down and then come through so strongly, it's a sign that the training you've been doing has worked. And a confident swimmer, often that's all the difference between a brilliant swimmer and an average swimmer, is a swimmer standing behind the block with confidence. And here she comes into this finish, Paul, and she's going to get a time of 4:32.55, so she will be taking that lane 4 for the final tonight, barring any disqualifications. I feel like we keep needing to say that now.
I know. Yeah, we've been stung too often on that one. Schnittger comes in 4:46.70, and she's followed by her German teammate who comes in now, Elena Kravtsov, in 5:01.57. There's Schnittger, and finishing now is Marianne Polo Lopez, the 4th Spanish swimmer in this one. Of course, it's a combined event, so potentially you can have 6 swimmers from the same country, 3 S12s and 3 S13s potentially. It's a combined limit. We've got 4 this time.
And can they all progress to the final?
Well, we'll find out tonight. I'm not sure whether it's a late combination of this event. It is normally 3 swimmers per country. Maybe there has been a reclassification issue, quite possibly, and the swimmers been moved into this classification. Well, Ragnar Forza from Norway is in now 6:05.13. But a good swim there from Stetsenko.
Yeah, she oozed confidence and strength, and she looked so comfortable, and she led and she just pulled away in that middle 200 metres and then just held that lead, and I think we can expect more from her tonight, Paul.
Oh, Stetsenko certainly the best in Europe. That's the best time in the world this year in that very comfortable heat. She takes that one ahead of Schnittger. She will progress to the final in first position, and all the 4 Spaniards in the top 8.
That answers that question then.
CS8 next. Coming down the distances, progressing to finish off this heat session. Just 4 more events to come. This is the first of those 4. It's the men's 100 backstroke. Ruben Linares from Portugal in lane number 2. There's Ollie Hind, and a medalist in this event at the major championships. Hippo Carlomagno from Argentina. Another one of the non-Europeans, and there's David Carreira from Portugal. Swam a good butterfly yesterday, a couple of days ago, so he will be hoping to do well in this backstroke. Konstantin Lysenkov, the world record holder, European record holder, not here at these championships. It's a good opportunity for some of these swimmers to progress to the finals and into the medal positions.
We just saw there Oliver Hind adjusting the backstroke starting device, and it's important to get it in the position that you require it, because actually if it's in the wrong position you might as well not have it at all.
There's been a few issues with those starting platforms this week, getting them in the right place, but swimmers getting used to them. Oliver Hind, a high turnover there of the arms. And he's gone out challenging for the lead with Pipo Carlomagno in lane number 5 from Argentina.
Yeah, Oliver Hind is a man that's hit his form right at the right time, and there was 50 metres, there was nothing to separate the top 3, but now the middle 2 lanes starting to pull away. And actually Oliver Hind just getting a touch by 0.1 of a second, but we're in for an exciting last 50 metres here, Paul.
Yeah, Oliver Hind been on good form. He set a personal best to win a medal in the 100 freestyle, first time under the 1 minute mark. We'll see how he goes here. Looks pretty good, fairly comfortable as he comes away from the 2 Argentinians. And Oliver Hind there with his entry time of 106.08. He's going to be outside that, but he is in first position, 108.13. Followed home by Pipo Carlomagno and also Lucas Poggi in third position. And the first Portuguese swimmer home is David Carreira, 120.55. So he'll be looking on to the next heat to see if he can make it into the final this evening. It was a good start from the 2 Argentinians there, but as the race went on, Ollie Hind really wasn't challenged in the closing stages.
No, and he had company down that first 50 metres, but Oliver Hind, renowned for that strength that he's got in the second half of races, because he is the world record holder in the 400 metres freestyle. He is the European record holder in the 200 individual medley. Those 2 distance races, which he does the majority of his training on, really set him up for the back end of those of every event that he does.
A good time from Ollie Hind, 108.13. is his time there. We'll see what the second heat can do. And there is Boginski, the world silver medalist and European champion. Boginski. Denis Tarasov, he will go well in line number 5, I'm sure. There's Niels Mortensen, Jonathan McGrath, trying to achieve a qualification standard, I think, for the Irish team for the Paralympic Games.
Yeah, and it's always a difficult situation because the more events you've got to do it in, the more that start to fall by the wayside, the pressure starts to build, and then you try harder. And with swimming, when you force it, you actually end up, it's way more work and way more effort, and you slip the water, and you actually end up swimming slowly. So it's the key for Jonathan McGrath here in the rest of this meet is to try and stay as relaxed as possible.
Well, very good start there by Niels Mortensen. He's impressed me this week. He's been swimming very well indeed, the Danish swimmer.
Yeah, he's had a breakthrough meet, and he's enjoying this week. And when you get that confidence from earlier on in the week, you just seem, as I've said it in previous sessions, but you just can't wait for your next race to come. And here we go, and we see. But now he's got company.
Mortensen 0.8 of a second behind him. Bozinski in first position, though, trying to retain that European title that he won. Kind of a surprise win 2 years ago for Bozinski, but he's followed that up with impressive performances in the World Championship last year, just beaten by Konstantin Lysenkov. Bozinski going pretty well, and he is just going to take this one ahead of Mortensen. And 108.70, not quite as fast as Oliver Hind in the first heat.
No, so Oliver Hind will go into the final this evening in that lane 4 that he's become so accustomed to. And there is your winner, Bozinski. But we saw there Denis Tarasov taking it really easy, and even from lane 5 finishing in a time of 1:18.
Denis Tarasov, 118.01. Well, again, one of these swimmers, he's really pushing it close to the wire there. He finishes in 4th position. Jonathan McGrath in 5th position, 119.04. And with Tarasov's entry time of 106, I bet Jonathan McGrath thought, I'm close here.
I'm going really well. That is the most frustrating thing as a swimmer. When you're going and you're next to someone you know has got a really good time, and you're like, either I'm going really well or they're going really slowly. And it's always a lot better feeling when you get to the end and you realise, actually, yeah, you were going well.
Bozinski does take that one. He was going well. So was Mortensen. Tarasov in 118.01. I think he will make it to the final, but only just. Women's 100 backstroke S8s. Summer's already on the way out here. 2 heats of this one. We are missing swimmer in lane number 4. That was Stephanie Slater, not taking the start for this one. Sogomonyan goes in lane number 5 for Russia. So I swim in the medley yesterday. Agnes Kramer from Sweden goes in lane number 2. There is the young swimmer from the Czech Republic, Aneska Floriankova, 13-year-old in lane number 3. World record held by Heather Fredrickson, set in the European Championships in 2009. Still waiting for confirmation of the result there from that previous heat, so that's why a little bit of a delay there. So the swimmers they can't take the start list because the result of the official result of the previous heat has not been confirmed yet.
Hopefully there's not too much of a delay, because these swimmers obviously have already experienced the effect of that earlier delay that we had in this session, and we were just starting to get make it back up and get back on track. So this isn't really what they need behind the ropes, but there we go. And there is the official result, Paul.
Oh, we see it on the scoreboard there, and it was actually Denis Tarasov that was disqualified. Well, we did see him swim quite a slow time, so maybe there was an issue during the race there that we missed. So no Tarasov in the final, but we can go on to the first heat now of the women's 100 backstroke in the S8 class. Some young swimmers in this one. 13-year-old from Switzerland going in lane number 6, Nora Meister, and the 13-year-old from the Czech Republic, Floriankova, going in lane number 3.
Well, Paul, this S8 100 meters backstroke is one of the more open S8 events on the world stage, because so many of the S8 events have been dominated by Jessica Long since she burst onto the scene at Athens 2004 as a 12-year-old, and then had that staggering 9 gold medals at the IPC World Championships way back in 2006. But if it's fair to say that she does have a weak stroke, because she's brilliant at them all, it would be this 100 meters backstroke event. And here we see people taking opportunities to try and get on that podium.
Yeah, there's Floriankova there, the youngster, Iska Floriankova, 39.42. It's a very good start there. And the Czech swimmer making her international debut at a major event here in Funchal.
We see these girls employing quite a slow stroke rate, the two that are leading the way, and they're driving this backstroke from the kick. And she has led from start to finish, and it will be Floriankova that comes in to take the victory in this heat as she touches the wall in a time of 1 minute 25.82, Paul.
Well, very good time. She didn't finish particularly well there. She seemed to finish on the head there, but the youngster very pleased with that one. And it was a very relaxed stroke that she has, isn't it? Very powerful though, with that one good arm.
Yeah, and we've come used to seeing that as well from Alessia Vladikina in the next heat. If you've got that drive from the kick and the balancing efficiency, you can afford to go slower with the arm rate, because then as long as you're getting that purchase on the water and your arms come through underneath.
Yeah, there she goes, Floriankova going over first there. And coming out of the turn there, Floriankova. That wasn't a good finish at all, was it? Maybe got another half a second in the finish alone.
Yeah, she finished there on her shorter arm and actually ended up hitting the touchpad with her head, so tonight she'll look to rectify that and finish on a full stroke.
Second heat though, can anyone challenge that time of 125.82? If anyone can, this lady can. Lucia Vladikina. She not really renowned as a backstroker, but she has had some success in the backstroke event.
Yeah, and again, she is one of the more open events to get onto the podium since Heather Fredrickson went that 1:14.36 for the world record. Nobody else has really got down to those times in this classification, and it does leave it open for a sneaky spot on the podium. But there we see, as we alluded to, Vladikina using that slow stroke rate. It's actually her compatriot Maria Pavlova who's taken this race out from the start.
Yeah, Maria Pavlova already a medalist here in Funchal. She's having a great competition so far. We saw her win a silver in the individual medley. We'll see if she can be in pole position here. It looks like she's gone out pretty well indeed. 39.68. And it is Alba Kelly in second position, but Vladikina using that power off the wall.
Yeah, we're used to seeing from Vladikina such good race skills off the start, off the turn. She's got those two strong legs that she's developed from her brilliant 100-metre breaststroke, and she uses them in the crossover in every other event, and that's why she manages to hold her own in a less favoured event. But really, Paul, this heat is all about Pavlova, as she comes into the final 5 metres.
Well, let's see if she can challenge that time in the first heat. I think she is going to. She's going to be inside that. 122.65. Good swim there from Kelly. 127.49. Vladikina almost grazed a halt before the wall. She just glides in there in 131.01. We see her do that very often.
Yeah, she's got beautiful strokes, and again, because she's such a great technician, she makes it look so easy. Even when tonight in the final one we see her racing for those medals, the ease of her stroke will look the same, and it'll still look like she's not putting in that much effort, but it's because she is such a great technician.
Well, Maria Pavlova is ranked world #1 this year, and she's continuing to be ranked top in the terms of the 2 heats here. One swimmer still to come in, swimmer from Georgia, Mira Chachiraya from Georgia. It's good to see the countries here bringing these young swimmers for an experience at the European Championships. The Georgian swimmers, a couple of swimmers from Georgia. Seen a swimmer from Malta as well.
Malta, the host of the World Championships way back in 1994, Paul. Don't tell me you were there. You were there as well, weren't you?
I wasn't there.
Were you not?
No, that was one I missed. I was unwell.
Oh, but you could have been there. Your age permits it. You could have been there.
I was selected for it,
exactly.
But I was ill. Pavlova was first in that heat. Alba Kelly in second. Vladikina in third. Expect her to go faster in the final this evening. Pavlova will progress to the heats in first position, ahead of Florian Kova, the youngster. Alba Kelly in third, Solomonian in fourth. Nora Meister, the 13-year-old from Switzerland, also making that final. Well, the last 2 events of the morning. Men's 100 freestyle S9. Should be a fast race, this one. Federico Molacchi, fastest qualification time. Funchal Filio and the local favourite, David Grashal. Jose Maria Alcaraz, the European record holder, goes in heat #2. Well, they're going to have to go pretty fast, Liz, to try and secure qualification time here.
Yeah, these are 2 loaded heats, and we saw Matt Wiley take the victory in the 50 freestyle, so we know he's got the speed, but can he hold on for the whole 100 metres? Vanil Tofilo, he's been really working on this 100 freestyle, because that 34-point men's 4x100 freestyle relay for Brazil is such a strong event, and the S9 spot was up for grabs, and if you had the opportunity to be in a relay team with Daniel Diaz, Andre Brazil and Felipe Rodriguez, you'd be working hard too, wouldn't you? He seems to be going pretty well here, but out in lane 2, also going well, is Vincic of Croatia.
Well, David Grasha also going well, the Portuguese home swimmer. It would be a great victory for the Portuguese supporters here if he can get in first, and I think he might just be able to do that. And it is going to be a win for David Grasha of Portugal, 58.04. That will put him in a good position there. Qualification for the final. Christian Vincic from Croatia in second. Morlaki in third. Matt Wiley in fourth. And Vanilton Filio down in fifth there. Blanket finish.
Yeah, Philo some way off his best there, but that race really belonged to David Rochat, and he's over the moon with that swim, and he's feeding off this home crowd and giving them something to really cheer about.
Yes, indeed. And that was a good swim there. 58.04 for the Portuguese swimmer. Almost a second improvement on his entry time. Excellent stuff there from the Portuguese swimmer. And in the centre lanes, Vincetic also doing well. There's the finish. 3, 4 and 5. Not in the picture. Whoa, look at that. That was an excellent time. Wow. And he's given himself a good chance of becoming Portuguese medalist. There's Emilio Filton. His time actually was changed from what it was previously. So it was an improvement for Filton. He was in 3rd position there. Morlacchi in 4th and in danger, Morlacchi. 59.02 for Morlacchi. Well, we can have 5 swimmers inside that. Morlacchi will not be in the final. And this second heat is quick.
Yeah, as we've come to expect, Jose Antonio Maria Alcaraz, he doesn't get off to the best start because he does have a severe leg impairment, but he's so powerful down at 50 and on the back end, and we'll look for him to make up some time, but at the moment he's getting left behind here.
He is. That is very, very unusual for the Spanish swimmer in lane number 5. He's down in about 6th position at the moment. Tamas Todt and Skaliuk, Alexander Skaliuk from Russia, Leo Litimaki, the 50-metre specialist. Those 3 are out ahead of the field. It is very, very quick, and Alcaraz is really in danger now of not making the final. It looks like Lewis White going well for Great Britain in lane number 2 as well. And these are the first 5 coming home now. It is going to be lane number 4 getting in there, Skaliuk, I think. It's very close, 58.07. Lewis White in 2nd. What a finish from the youngster from Great Britain. Tamas Todt in 3rd, Litimaki in 4th, and in 5th it's Mozgovoy for Russia. And I think Morlacchi has scraped into the final.
Well, it was such a great start from Skaliuk there, and he led all of the way, and then there was a tight battle for 2nd and 3rd though. Lewis White against the experienced but still young Tamas Todt, and they really were stroke for stroke, and then Lewis White just getting that touch for silver.
Such a good swim from Lewis White getting in there. Fantastic display from the youngster. Skaliuk though, the world champion, he gets 1st place in that heat. 58.07. Lewis White in 2nd, Tamas Todt in 3rd, Litimaki in 4th. They'll all make the final, and so will Morlacchi, but there is no place for the European record holder Mari Alcaraz.
He just never really got into the race, did he? He had that slow start, and was so used to him then powering through and making up that deficit, but it just didn't seem to be there this morning, Paul.
Now Portugal will have top qualifier, of course. So we go out now for the one and only heat of the women's 100 freestyle for the S9 classification. Renata Pinto trying to make that final. Just one swimmer to lose, so probably not going to see the fireworks we saw in the men's event there. The 2 Spanish in the middle, Sarai Gascon and Nuria Marquez Soto. They will be the favourites for this one. There is tall Russian Mamlina. Mamlina very tall. She actually injured her spine while training for the high jump. So she was a high jumper. She certainly got the build for it.
Yeah, and she's going from strength to strength in these swimming events. And these sprint events, you really benefit from being tall.
See what the 2 Spanish swimmers can do. Sarai Gascon has been absolutely supreme at these championships so far. She goes into a very slight lead, I think, just ahead of Mamlina, who's also challenging for the lead. Nura Marquez Soto will be slower off the blocks, a leg amputee, but she's coming into contention now as they go into the turn.
And just as we come into this turn, we would expect Marquez Soto to have the weaker push off the wall, as you said, Paul, because she is the athlete with the severe leg impairment in this classification group. But she actually didn't lose too much time, and they're all in a line here. And this is, as you said, probably something to do with the fact that they only need to drop one swimmer to progress through to tonight's finals.
And they're all going pretty well, actually. They're all in a row here and trying to secure a lane for the final tonight. Sarai Gascon just maybe easing back. Marquez Soto and it looks like Stephanie Millward going well for Great Britain. It is Marquez Soto. Gascon just getting the touch. Gascon getting the touch from Stephanie Millward there. Nuria Marquez Soto just kind of squinting there, trying to look at the scoreboard, which is 25 metres away at 107.02 for Marquez Soto. It was comfortable qualification for all these women, I think. Most of them have gone a little bit faster than that.
There we see Marquez Soto. She's got a great start considering she's only got that one leg to dive off. She really focuses on her streamline so she can maximise the push off that she does get. But here, Paul, they couldn't have got any closer. This is going into the first turn, but when they come into the finish, they couldn't have all got closer to each other if they tried.
Yeah, swimming in formation almost. We'll wait for confirmation of that result. Sarai Gascon, there we are, three of them all coming in there. Sarai Gascon just touching ahead of Stephanie Millward, with Nura Marquez Soto in first position. And we do have a disqualification in this one, but it doesn't affect the top three places. Get confirmation of that now, hopefully. There we go. Nuria Marquez Soto, Gascon and Millward. It's been slightly delayed, but I think we caught up time in the end. Liz, some good performances we've seen.
Yeah, a few world records that we were treated to there, Paul, and some tight races and some interesting races being set up for the final sessions this evening.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us this morning, Liz. It's been another good heat session. It's day 5 here in Funchal. We're looking forward to day 5 finals this evening. Please join us tonight at 1700 hours local time. But for now, from Madeira, it's goodbye.